Ta-da! Welcome back to Walk-Ons for the 2023 High School Football Coaches Show. Logan Pettit, Anthony Nachreiner, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski, and coming up here in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have 7 great high school football coaches on tap for you. We're going to start the night off with Hurlie Brown from Holy Trinity. We'll then move on. I don't know the order. We never do. The guys decide it. Depends if, they're drinking a Pepsi or two and they want a third Pepsi. That's up to them. Then they come on. But we'd also have Clifton Nichols here tonight. We've got Mykel Benson from Heritage. I've already seen the offensive coordinator, Eddie Mays from Heritage as well. I just saw Ryan Schneider walk through the door with his defensive coordinator, Matt Diesel. Also on tap tonight will be Mykel Brown. He's sitting in for Palm Bay head coach Dan Burke. Also here tonight will be Tyler Murray from Merritt Island, Shane Staples from Viera, all scheduled to appear here tonight. Let me turn my attention to broadcast partner Logan Pettit. And Logan, welcome back. Congratulations on the honeymoon and the marriage and all of that good stuff. You're free to go for Friday nights now, right? I always got to. I don't know about Billy yet.
Free to go. Free as a bird.
Free to go. All right. Free to go on Friday nights here. So I asked you this in the test, and I'm going to ask you this now while we're live. Again, what are you looking forward to most this upcoming high school football season?
Well, like I said, I think it's expectations. You have a couple teams last year that had great seasons. You had a team in Cocoa that went out and won a state championship. How do you live up to those expectations? You had a team last year in Viera that didn't win a single game. How do you curtail those expectations? How do you show that you're going to go out and win some games? And like I said, we saw them in the spring, and they looked better than what they did last year. So, it's how do you build on the stuff that you've been setting your whole preseason up for?
Knock, since Logan and I broadcast a high school football game in the spring, a lot's changed on the roster since then. I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. But Knock, outside of those transfers, and I'll ask you the same question I asked in our little test session a minute ago, what has been the thing that has stuck out to you the most in your return to Brevard County High School football?
I think the fact that I don't know many people in the coaching staffs anymore. A couple names sound familiar, but I'll say this. Like I said, I'm just really excited to get to learn some of these new coaches. Obviously, I've met Coach Schneider a couple of times, a handful of times that last year as well. But just getting to meet Coach Hurlie Brown, meeting Heritage Coach Mykel Benson, met his OC Eddie Mays just a few minutes ago, just kind of reacquainting and meeting new people and building relationships with these coaches to kind of get a better sense of their programs. And like I said, part of it is the process, just learning this whole thing all over again. I go back to when I first learned in Montana. It was nerve-wracking that first year.
Sure is.
This year, though, obviously I know the area, but it's a whole new process for me. You obviously have more information than I do, way more information than I do, but just this process of learning is fun. It
is fun. And, to be honest with you, as much as I continue to cultivate relationships that, we cultivate relationships, it seems like the learning process is never ending, and I believe that is part of what keeps us coming back for more. For those of you that are interested in these type of statistics, about a week ago I put out a 4,798-word article, and I know that because a viewer pointed that out to me, on Facebook about the upcoming season. Currently, guys, there are 14 schools playing in the FHSAA State Series competition. There are 4 schools that are playing in the Sunshine State Athletic Conference. Those 4 schools are Cocoa Beach, Space Coast, and we're going to talk to Clifton Nichols about that tonight, as well as the 2 8-man football teams from Calvary Chapel and Merritt Island Christian. Just to review real quick, let's talk about the districts this year because I've gotten some questions about that. Are they the same? Yes, everything has stayed the same. The FHSAA told us it would for 2 years, and we're back again. 4S District 11 this year will be the Melbourne Bulldogs, the Viera Hawks, the Heritage Panthers, and the Harmony Longhorns. In 3S District 10, it'll be Rockledge, O'Galley, Bayside, Merritt Island, and Satellite. So a 5-team district comprised of strictly Brevard County. 2S District 12 will also be comprised of just Brevard County as well. It'll be Cocoa, Astronaut, Titusville, and Palm Bay. And 1S District 4 will be a 3-team district, 2 of those teams from right here in Brevard County in Holy Trinity and MCC, and they'll fight with Halifax Academy for the district championship. Brevard County has won 15, count them, 15 state championships. The first, the 1966 Melbourne Bulldogs, way before these guys' time, but nonetheless, the first high school in Brevard County to capture one. Cocoa with 5, Merritt Island with 3, 3 schools with 2, Titusville, Palm Bay, and Rockledge, and Melbourne won. 9 times a Brevard County team has finished as state runner-up. Merritt Island, Viera, Astronaut, Titusville, and Melbourne among them. In terms of the coaches this season, talking about off-season coaching vacancies filled this year, 5. We have 5 brand-new head football coaches in Brevard and 1 that has returned this year. 2 that have actually returned. Astronaut, MCC, Palm Bay, Heritage, and Bayside. Here's getting to what Knock was talking about. We have 3 of those coaches are actual first-year head coaches in Billy Miller, Logan Halleck, and Mykel Benson. 2 return in Dan Burke and Nate Hooks. Of course, Hooks from Holy Trinity to MCC. Burke from being a co-defensive coordinator last year to now the head coach, as Jake Owens took what sounded like a dream job to him out in northern Kentucky. And if you know Jake Owens, he's a big Bengals fan, and he couldn't have got a better job for him. 9 head coaches are either in their first or their second season. Knock 3 head coaches with 5 or more years of tenure with their current teams. The elder statesman, in terms of consecutive years this season, Wayne Younger and the Rockledge Raiders. Now let me speak on that for just a minute, because I have gotten some emails asking me if Rockledge will be on. All I can say is the same thing that I say every year. My hand and my invitation has been extended. So Rockledge is always welcome, and Rockledge football is always welcome onto everything and anything we ever do, and that invitation has once again been extended this season. So guys, final thoughts before we get into our first coach, which will be Hurlie Brown.
I'm just really curious to see what we get from some of these coaches tonight, what kind of energy we're going to find out, and honestly, just kind of get some player names, find out some more things, who's been standing out this summer in the weight room.
Who are you looking forward to the most talking to tonight, Logan?
Oh, it's got to be Schneider. It's always Schneider.
Yeah.
He brings the energy.
He's always got something good to say, right?
Yeah.
Got a mic drop moment or two. All right, when we come back, it'll be Hurlie Brown from the Holy Trinity Tigers. You're watching the 2023 Brevard Sports Network High School Football Coaches Show live right here from Walk-Ons in
It all started with a sketch on a napkin. An idea created by 2 walk-on bench warmers. And after 10 years of hard work and perseverance to turn their dream into a reality, it's the #1 sports bar in America.
Welcome to Walk On.
Walk-ons, because everyone needs a little playing time.
All right, 3, 2, and 1. And the magic has happened here at Walk-Ons as our first head coach is here, and he is Hurlie Brown from the Holy Trinity Tigers. Coach, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Alan. How you doing?
Good. Coach, this is Anthony Nachreiner.
Great to meet you, Coach.
And this is Logan Pettit.
Coach, how you doing?
All right, it's good to have you here, Coach. We just like these programs seem to do, we keep expanding every year. I got no issue with that. All right, Coach. District champs last year. I'm hearing a lot about your quarterback and all, but before we get into Andy, how are you, man?
Man, I'm all right, Alan.
Doing good?
Hey, I had so much fun watching your video the other day. I didn't realize you were a quarterback.
I was a quarterback.
I know that. I see that.
Talk so much trash, right? I try.
You had the mullet going on, man. I'm like, dang, oh, look at Alan.
I kicked that mullet up
Yeah,
there.
you
didn't
did.
I? The Hunter Turner, ain't none of them had anything on that
exactly,
mullet.
man. That was so awesome to see, man. I looked at that thing probably 50 times.
Wait, give it another week or two, Coach. I'll throw a little bit more on them. Good to have you. All right, Coach, as you enter second season, I know obviously everything happened for you late coming into the summer last year, the transition, the change, all of it was so new. And I don't care how long you've been around. It can all be a lot. Now that you've had an opportunity to settle in over there and the beautiful campus, the great people, the wonderful facility. I love James Phillips. Talk about your year at Holy Trinity and how you found it to be there.
Well, how I found it to be there was just the opportunity presented itself to come home.
Yeah.
Of course, for those of you who don't know, I was at Prairie View A&M University with my brother, Bubba McDowell, who's the head coach. And I was just screwing around one day, and I heard that this job had come available. And to be honest with you, I had no interest, but I did want to talk to Chuck Goldfarb. And to be honest with you, Alan, I was just being nosy.
Right.
I was just
poking around.
Being inquisitive. You know what I mean?
You talked to the wrong guy to start with.
Exactly.
Because Chuck Goldfarb, if he knows you got an interest, he's coming after you.
And I'm telling you, man, we got into the conversation, and he was like, hey, wait a minute. It was like an epiphany hit him. It was like, hey, hold on, wait a minute. Are you interested? Like, Chuck, you can't pay me.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, give me a number. All right. Yeah.
Chuck.
I'm here.
I love him.
It was just a great opportunity to come back home, man. And I've always marveled at that program. I recruited that program everywhere I went. When I first started coaching college football in 2000 at Florida International University, this has always been one of my recruiting areas. So I recruited Ray Herring, recruited Marcus May. I recruited those guys from that school, and I would always go into that school, and I'm just sitting there looking at the possibilities. And so when the opportunity presented itself, it was like, hey, man, it's a no-brainer. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. Here with Hurlie Brown last year, Coach, 6-5 with a young football team last year, winning a district championship. And I know you know this, but at Holy Trinity and the private schools here in the county, Coach, the numbers aren't always what head football coaches want. Was that an adjustment for you, dealing with not the type of numbers, in the high 30s that you might be used to dealing with, or how were you able to overcome that?
Well, Alan, I'll tell you what, it's a testament to the kids and the commitment that the kids have to that school. I'll tell you a great story. When I first got here, we had 12 kids.
Wow.
We had 12 kids that were out there playing
I remember
football.
that.
There were a bunch of kids that had exited the program, a bunch of kids that were contemplating whether or not they were going to exit the program. And slowly but surely, they started coming out, and you started seeing more and more kids. And next thing you know, you got 38 kids.
Right.
So you end up with a pretty good group, a pretty good number of kids that were committed. And I tell you, the hardest working group I've been around in a long time. And
they were good. They were a good football team.
Yeah.
They were fun to watch too.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, this summer with workouts, everything like that, what's the participation been like for your squad?
Great. It's different. Don't get me wrong. We got vacations down there.
Gotcha.
Some of them 3, 4, 5 vacations in the summer. But I will say this: even the kids, we just had our conditioning test last Thursday, and Coach, I'm sitting there and I'm watching our kids. I'm in awe. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. The mental toughness, and again, it's a process. So we want to go into this summer and develop mental toughness. The old school way, 16 110s, 45-second rest in between each one. You got to make it in 17, 18, 19 seconds. Okay?
Right.
Yep.
You got skill, big skill. Small skill, and big skill. Big skill at 19 seconds. Coach, we had one kid not make all 16 110s in those times. Coach, I'm telling you, I'm just sitting there and I'm watching these guys like, man, I can't sleep the night before because I'm so anxious, right? Because I want to see what we've accomplished over the past couple of months. I just know I'm going to be yelling. I'm going to be, forcing kids to run again. Hey, look, we're going to have to get up early the next day because we got to come out here and make them run because I got to make sure that they make it. And it's not just because it's a conditioning test to see where we are, But, Coach, it's for safety purposes.
Yep.
Right.
We have to be in good shape, in good condition, in order for us to go out there and compete in fall camp. So, again, can't sleep at night, waking up all times of the night, looking at my clock because I don't want to be late. I want to see what's going on. And, Coach, and I'm just sitting there with my jaw just dropped like, is anybody not going to make it?
Right.
Alan, no, I'm telling you, it was absolutely. But it's the exact
Wow.
same test that we did at University of Miami when we won those 3 national championships. Exact same test.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes.
Logan?
Yeah, I want to go back to kind of what you were talking about, how like the numbers were a little smaller when you first got there. You've had a year under your belt in a private school. Can you speak on being able to reflect on some of the differences that you've noticed, like being at a private school now as to your run in a public school at Merritt Island?
Well, even at Merritt Island, our numbers weren't as great as what we would have wanted them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Public school, 1,200 kids. You would like to have thought that, hey, we would have had an influx of kids that we could have chosen from. But at the particular when I got to Merritt Island football was not attractive. All right, so that was one of the issues. So we didn't have, like what they got out there now. After we won the state championship, now everybody wants to play for Merritt Island.
Right.
They had 102 kids last year, which was it was awesome.
Right.
But so we were always teetering around at 40, 45, 48 maybe with JV and varsity. I think at one point we got like 60 kids. So we've always dealt with a small group. I've always been able to deal with a small group. And, I mean, you go back and look at Cocoa High School when Cocoa won the state. What, they have 30 kids?
30,
Chuck called
them. Yeah,
So,
the 30-30.
it has its pluses because now you can really focus on that small number of kids and really, work on the fine details of things as opposed to you got, a couple of hundred kids out there getting, and they're not getting as many reps. You know what I mean? But, man, the kids bought in and the parents bought in, the administration bought in, and it was awesome. It was complete. I cannot say enough good things about everybody. You talked about James Phillips. Actually, the head basketball coach Henderson was our director of football operations. Dr. Cobb, she just recently resigned, but she was just absolutely amazing. Everybody on campus was just, they were in tune to what we were trying to get done.
And Chuck.
And Chuck
Goldfarb, man.
Chuck was there every Friday night.
Yes, he was. And,
yes.
I think the thing that I found most fascinating about Chuck when I talked to him is we just ran his interview that we did about 8-9 months ago. We just ran it last week. And, the most fascinating thing about Chuck Goldfarb is the guy is just a winner. Doesn't matter how he does it, where he does it, he wins. He just wins.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Knock.
Well, Coach, I'm going to go back to the summer. One of the things I love talking to coaches about is that summer because that's where you guys that's what determines your season, essentially. So do you have a couple of guys that, before the summer you're kind of wondering, hey, how would they perform, that maybe exceeded your expectations in terms of the weight room, in terms of conditioning? Do you got a couple of guys that surprised you or wowed you this summer?
Man, it's not just a couple.
Okay.
Pull out the roster.
Okay.
Pull out the roster. And you got to – a lot of these kids, it's their first year having, gone through this type of, regimen, this type of workout. Coach, we ran – our first day of running, we ran 14 400s.
14.
Right.
14.
I'm already feeling winded.
Yeah. Coach, we ran 14 100s, all right? So we ran 14 on that Wednesday. That Friday we ran 12, and then that Monday we ran 10. Okay, now mind you, all right, so the 14, and these are all under time now. So you're not just running 1400s and just taking your time jogging. These are all under time. But the reason that I did that was because we needed to build a foundation. All right, and we needed to build mental toughness. So when you're talking about, I cannot just single out just one or two guys,
right? Because
it was the entire squad that conquered the entire summer workout program.
Awesome.
And I'm telling you, and I even told my kids today, man, what they did this summer is very commendable. We should be commending these kids on how hard they worked. And again, even the ones that weren't there sometimes because they were on vacation,
right?
They still ran on vacation.
That's
and
great.
When they got here, they were ready to take that test. It's awesome.
Coach, I had the good fortune of talking to your kicker last week, him and his cousin, Marcus Trout, and he couldn't talk about Brogan McNabb enough.
Oh, yeah.
So I said to myself right there immediately, I'm going to have to ask Coach Brown about this young man. Tell me about Bro. He told me, and I quote, he's going to be the best high school football player in Brevard County. That's what he told me. But you know, more importantly, what I love to hear is a teammate saying that about another teammate.
Oh, no doubt.
But
no
go
doubt.
ahead.
He's a great teammate. He's a great leader. And the one thing that he does that, and having experienced football the way that I have, your best players are always your hardest working players.
Right.
Brogan benched 285 today.
What?
Yeah, he's a quarterback. He's in the 10th grade, just turned 15. He'll be turning 16, sometime soon or whatever. But he just benched 285. I can't remember what his squat max was yesterday, but Coach, he is one of the, if not the strongest kid. I think Merritt Campbell benched 295. Merritt, yeah. And
quarterback throwing up 285.
Coach, but you should see him. He works his butt off. He'll leave practice, go home, and throw the ball again. They got this big old yard over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But phenomenal. And then he's as humble can be.
Didn't his brother graduate? Didn't he have a brother?
Yes. His oldest brother's at Ole Miss right now.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Cole is actually – we're trying to get his brother Cole to come back out because he was a long snapper last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I interviewed him
but
at the
he's going to be a
postgame
senior
show.
this year. But I'm telling you, just one of the greatest kids. His attitude, he's always in the front. Even when we're talking to the team, he's out front. He's not. And then when we're running, even when we're running 400s, we're running 100s, whatever we're running, he's out in the front. And so when you see that, and again, you got to remember now, I'm old school. Michael Irvin, Bubba McDowell, all these guys that were great players at the University of Miami, the Ray Lewis, the Warren Saps. Guess what they were when everybody was running? They're in the front.
In the front.
In the front.
In the front.
Exactly. So when you see a guy that has that type of attitude and leadership ability, you just sit back and you're like, okay, let's go. Let's just fine-tune this thing. He's already got everything else that you need. Last year was his first time playing quarterback, so we're trying to detail that position for him. But, man, when I tell you, he's a pleasant guy to have, and he's just a joy to have as a part of our football team.
Yeah, he was a freshman last year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so, I think that's important. You got a sophomore quarterback out there that's leading from the front. That's exactly what you want to see from a young man like that. What is another year in the system going to mean for him and his development for next year?
It's going to be crazy. Even over the summer, what he's accomplished over the summer and what he's done, we've done a couple of little 7-on-7s. You just sit back and like, okay, he's got it. Because he's got it.
I watched him a couple times. He likes to take off and run it quite a bit. He's an athletic player.
Well, it all depends on what the defense. Come on, you
right.
can't be giving
no,
us
no,
stuff
no,
away.
but I'm just saying,
Coach, he's a defensive guy. I got two defensive guys here.
If it's not there, he has the green light to pull it down and run it.
That's what I was going to ask because
he has the ability. Now I'm telling you, he could be, and I'm always telling him, you could be a Cooper Kupp. Is it Krupp? Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp. He has that type of athletic ability. Mm-hmm. He has it. He plays corner for us in these 7-on-7s, Coach, and I'm like, man, I'm going to kill you because, look, he's a hell of a corner.
Go ahead and get hurt.
So,
right.
The kid is special. He's extremely special, and his career, his upside is just tremendous. Can't wait to see what he's able to do this year.
Coach, you have your old school, and you have seen a lot in this game. You have been mentored, played with, coached by, coached for a lot of greats in this football game. I got to ask you this, though, because you've played and seen some of the best running backs this sport has ever put out on the field. You've tackled some of the best running backs ever to grace a gridiron. How do you feel about what's happened to that position? And do you coach it any differently in high school? Because I get a feeling, Coach, you're not going to find a whole lot of kids in high school that are serious about playing college ball that are going to want to take that route, seeing what's happening at the top.
It's kind of frustrating. I'm a firm believer that if you can't run the ball, you can't win.
Thank you.
So what's happening in the National Football League, and it's all business. All right? It's not because these guys can't run or they can't do that. It's strictly business. And I think that it's a trend now that I think in a year or two, it's going to come right back to what it was.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, because there's no way that you can go out I mean, you might as well be playing 7-on-7 if you can't. Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
You know, so you look at a guy like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and it's a shame, you know, what's going on with Saquon. But, you know, and I recruited Dalvin Cook.
Right.
You know, I recruited Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a matter of fact, thought I had a shot at Leonard Fournette.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I talked to Leonard a couple of times on a Saturday morning after he got done cutting yards and stuff. You know, like he's at a lawn. He has a lawn service back in Louisiana. But I just honestly do believe that you have to have a great run game in order to open up the passing game. You have to have that.
Who's the hardest running back you ever had to play against? You.
Ooh, man, that's tough. I tell you what, I got ran over by Brian Mitchell one time. Hey, Alan, we were in practice one day, and we were supposed to be thudding up.
Right.
And Brian does not know how to slow down. And so I'm going up there. I'm sizing him up. I'm going to thud him up. Man, that joker hit me up underneath my chin and put me on my back. And I was like, boy. And then we played against the Jets. And I got ran over by Fred Baxter.
Okay.
Yeah, but I got him back, though. I didn't get Brian back. But I got Fred back. I put Fred in the doggone in the cheap seat.
I'll bet. You know, it was funny last year after the coaches show, we were all sitting around, and they happened to be playing the Miami game up on the screen, and at the end of the game, there was a little scuffle on the field. And wouldn't you know, right in the middle of it all, boom, right here. Go ahead. You got one more for Coach?
Well, Coach, one of the things that I love talking about is linemen. That's where it starts up front with both offensive and defensive lines. How are you feeling about those groups this year?
I feel great about our group. Defensive line-wise, we got an experienced group coming back.
Awesome.
So we got a guy that's going to surprise a lot of people. His name is AJ.
Okay.
AJ Williams. All right, Anthony Williams. Anthony is a basketball player who's been playing. As a matter of fact, his sister is a superstar basketball player for Palm Bay High School.
Wow. I know you're talking about.
She's big time.
Yeah.
But Anthony, 6'5", he weighed in the other day at 205, and he can fly.
Lean.
Yes, He can fly. But he's got a huge frame. Anthony he'll play at about, well, for us, but I see him going to college and playing at about 245, 250, running a 4.6 40. And I'm telling you, he might run a 4.5.
Freak.
He's going to surprise a lot of people.
Wow.
Our nose guard, we got a couple of guys, Nick Ramez, Christon Gibson, and then we have a young kid, Xavier Faison. Xavier's about 330. But then on the other side, we have Willie Thompson. And our linebacking core is you're talking about a star-studded group now. We got Wyatt Chanda.
Yeah, Wyatt's good.
Caden Jaquez. Then you have returning Mike at Griffin Brunger. Then you have Bo Fleece. Then we have Javon Kamika.
You got some names on that roster that are synonymous with Brevard County High School football.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Coach, I'm telling you, man, we're going to be all right.
All right, now.
We just got a kid
now.
That's committed to us. That's he's a lacrosse player.
Okay.
Julian Ward. He's confirmed to us that he's going to play football this year.
Great shot on that kid.
But secondary is awesome. Is awesome. Again, you got Jaden McMillan, who I cannot, when we talk about Brogan McNabb, you got to put Jaden McMillan right next to Brogan because they're one and the same. I call them J-Mac and B-Mac.
Gotcha.
They're just, Jaden he don't talk a lot. He lets his action on the field do his talking for him. He's one of the hardest working kids we got and arguably one of the most athletic kids in the school.
Wow.
His sister is one of the most athletic female athletes that we have.
That seems to go along. That seems to go along. Athletic families.
It's in your genes. Come on, Alan, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Your kid's a great athlete. You're a great athlete.
You see that arm, right?
Yeah. Hey, let me finish talking to you, man. I got to finish talking about my group now.
Go ahead.
All right. So secondary, you got Jaden McMillan, Dylan Jensen, who's had an amazing offseason. He's our free safety. And then you have Gabe Sullivan at the other corner, who and again, Gabe plays receiver for us as well, so he goes both ways. So we're looking at some opportunities to put Brogan back there, let Brogan do some things. We also got Jesse Perez, who's our starting running back, that'll play some at that cup position because we run a 3-5-3.
Okay.
All right. And then offensively, our offensive line, we got Merritt Campbell. Okay, Merritt was at O'Galley last year.
Yeah.
He was with us the year before and went to O'Galley. Now he's back at Holy Trinity. Then you have Tristan Hurlbut, and then our starting left tackle is Griffin Brunger, who's our starting Mike.
Okay.
Griffin plays both ways, does a phenomenal job for us. The right tackle is Jaden Kamika, Ray's son, Ray Kamika,
right.
And then a right guard.
He's just a sophomore, right?
He's a sophomore. Yes, sir.
Young
guy.
too.
Yes.
God.
Then you have a left guard. It's a battle. So it'll be whether it's Nick Ramirez or Kriston or one of those other guys. The backfield, of course, Brogan backing him up. And it was a pleasant surprise as Forrest Butler. Okay. I think Forrest is going to do some great things for us. We got to find ways to get him involved and make sure that he gets a chance to go out and show people what he's capable of doing, because he's pretty doggone good. Then at the receiver spot, we got Ramel Hernandez, who's a H-type kid, Dylan Jensen, who's the Y. Again, Jaden and Gabe are both going to be our outside guys. Coach, I'm telling you, we got
How do you remember all these names? Usually,
Alan,
come on, man. Let's be honest. Usually, come up here and you go, all right, this is who I got.
Yeah.
And you give me 3. You just went through all 22.
Man, I got some more names for you.
Go ahead.
Alan Zlotarinsky is going to be 20. Oh, man.
I do have one question for you coming up.
Yeah.
Logan, you got any more?
No, you go ahead.
All right, so, look, I got to ask this question because, well, first of all, it wouldn't be me if I didn't. Second of all, it has to be asked because people want to know. You excited about the prospect of a rivalry between the two private schools really coming back this season?
Yeah. I mean, anytime that you can, that you have a rival game, it does a lot for the community.
It does.
It does. And that's what you look forward to. You look forward to filling that stadium, people getting involved, especially the community.
Right.
Especially in the private school, system. The one thing that I've learned with the private schools is we don't have the opportunity, the ability to go home and come outside on a Saturday or Sunday and your homeboys that you go to school with are right across the street.
Right.
My kids live all over the county.
Right.
And if they come outside to go hang out, if they go to do certain things, they're doing it with other people that go to other schools.
Right.
So our community is extremely small, okay, and it's just us.
Right.
It's just us. We don't have, like I said, we don't have the neighborhood. So that's a challenge, but to be able to get everybody together in that stadium, Alan, and play a rival game,
it's going to be
huge.
It's going to be
a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
we're looking forward to it. We've already asked Coach Phillips for it, and so we'll be there. Coach Hurlie Brown.
Alan, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Buddy.
Coach, great to meet
Appreciate
you.
it. Yes, sir.
And we'll
Best
be
of luck.
back.
Yes.
Coach, thank you for this.
It's a nice helmet.
I
That's
love
Holy
it.
Trinity, baby.
I love it.
Hey,
man.
hold on. Wait, we got to go back. We got to.
All right, yeah, we're not
we ain't done yet.
We're not going. What we got? What we got?
Hey, you called me. Well, you texted me. You told me you don't have anything.
Anything
from
Holy Trinity.
So, man, I talked to Colleen Middlebrooks, and she said Alan doesn't have anything
I
from
don't.
Holy Trinity.
No.
She said, well, hey,
I do a lot of broadcasting over
yeah.
there.
So we got to take. He's one of our guys.
There
We got to
we go.
take care of my guy. So here you
All
go.
right, look at this.
So
thank you.
compliments of Colleen Middlebrooks.
Tell Miss Middlebrooks I
And
said
Holy
thank
Trinity.
you very much.
Yes, sir.
Can I have that bag?
Yeah, you can have it. It may cost you something, but you can
Yeah,
have
I got you. Coach Hurlie Brown, thank you so much.
You got it.
Good
Thanks,
luck to
Al.
you this
Appreciate
year.
it,
Yep. Who we got next, Caleb? Caleb, who's next? Who? Clifton Nichols coming up next here. We'll be right back with Cliff Nichols.
It all started with a sketch on a napkin. An idea created by two walk-on bench warmers. And after 10 years of hard work and perseverance to turn their dream into a reality, it's the #1 sports bar in America.
Welcome to Walk On.
Walk-ons, because everyone needs a little playing time.
2 and 1. All right, welcome back to Walk-Ons. Make sure you get down here and check out their all summer long happy hour. Pepsi's galore, I can tell you right now. Our next head football coach hails from just a couple of miles north here wears my favorite color that a football team wears, purple. I happen to like that very much, and if you know me, you know why. But please help me welcome to the broadcast here, second-year head coach, but he's been with the program for so much longer, Clifton Nichols. Coach, how are you?
Always a pleasure. Glad to be here.
Good to have you. All right, Coach, the first question is the obvious question. We were talking about it last week, and we'll be talking about our previews, and that's the move to the SSAC for a couple of years. By the way, great move.
Oh, yeah.
I love the move. I think it's fantastic. I saw what it did for Ted Kimmy at Satellite and what that was able to do for him. Talk about the decision to make that move.
Well, I think the biggest thing is numbers. You know, looking last year, athletically, we competed with a lot of teams, but depth. And when we went into that last game against Satellite with a 25-man roster.
Jeez.
And, just looking at the SSAC, they've got some great teams, but they're around our size.
Right.
And until we can get that excitement back up at Space Coast, start recruiting the hallways, getting kids involved with the program, which we're doing a lot of things for that.
Right.
But I feel like we can compete number-wise and have, little closer games. We're just looking to compete,
How is the school's connection with the youth football program? And I say that because that Space Coast Youth Program is one of the best, most underrated programs in Brevard County. Every time I go out there, I feel like I'm watching future stars play.
So I'm not 100% sure where down the pipeline, but somewhere back before I was there was some disconnect. I've tried to do things to rehabilitate that. Tia, the lady that runs that, she does a phenomenal job there. So we're trying to get it back to a level where we've got a mutual partnership. I just think it's going to take some time.
No, I'm with you. Nach?
Well, Coach, where I love to start with is just the summer workouts for you guys as you get ready for this season. How did you feel about the participation from your group and what you guys were able to accomplish in the weight room?
So I was just talking, I've got a couple of my assistant coaches here tonight, and we had squat max day today.
Nice.
And, man, I tell you, the energy was phenomenal. It's the best energy that I've ever been a part of in a weight room, I think. I mean, it rivals back to my college days, my Rockledge days. Man, we got after it. We went – so we track, all of our main lifts, and we have a board in our weight room. And we've got the top 10, and we've got all-time records for our 4 main lifts. And last year's squats, our 10th place lift was 205. Now, 300 pounds didn't even get you on the board.
Jeez.
Wow.
So we went up. We had 6 guys in the 400s, where last year we only had 5 guys in the 300. We had 6 guys in the 400, 1 guy with a 500-pound squat, and there's video proof. We don't quarter squat. So those are solid parallel squats, man. And
I like
just
that.
The excitement is what I like too. Is we're not just cheering on the 500-pound squatters. We had guys cheering on the 185-pound freshman squatters. We had guys cheering on the 225-pound junior. From top to bottom, man, the excitement in the weight room this summer has been unmatched.
That is great to hear. It really is.
Yeah, Coach, are there a couple players that might be standing out to you in the weight room, and maybe one player that kind of surprised you that's standing out?
So our 2, well, I mean, the list could go on. We've had 2 guys break all-time records at Space Coast. We had Hayden Hanks. He's going to be a senior this year. He's going to play offensive line for us. He broke the squat record and the deadlift record there at the school, which is super exciting. And then Trevor Schaefer, who is also going to be a senior. He plays a little bit of everything, running back, wing back, linebacker at the end, all kinds of stuff. He broke our 20-yard agility record, and he's up there in the weights too, man.
What's a 20-yard agility? Now, you're talking to an old guy. What's a 20-yard agility?
So that's, where they line up and they go 5, 10,
I got
5.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
So he broke that record, and he's up there in all the weight stuff too. He's battling. A couple guys that really stick out too is we've got an incoming 9th grader that squatted 445.
Holy
cow. Wow, man.
Yeah.
It's in the water up in Fort
What are
St.
you
John.
doing up there?
This kid is going to be something special, man. But like I said, we had so many kids that improved, 100-pound improvements on squats. We have Julius Brown. He's a basketball guy.
Yeah.
That he has worked his butt off.
He's an athlete.
Oh, he's a great athlete,
Yeah.
great kid. But he has worked he went from being a kid that, Coach, I don't want to lift weights, I don't want to ruin my shot, he had a 315-pound squat today.
Nice.
As you know, doesn't have an incredibly thick frame. He's a tall guy, kind of a lanky guy. And, going into the summer, he's like, Coach, I can't squat the depth. I'm too tall. And he killed 315 pounds today. So, I mean, he's been one of those guys
It's the guy that didn't want to do it.
Yep, pretty much, yep.
But as a guy that played the offensive line and did a damn good job on it, this has got to thrill you to see this much strength.
Oh, yeah. All of our offensive line, I think our lowest offensive lineman squatted 350 today. So,
Coach, I want to go back for a second. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. I had the opportunity last year to meet your family and absolutely loved them. How's the family doing? How was your summer?
Phenomenal, man. That to me, making that move to being a teacher from working in the industry of machining has been one of the best dreams of my life, man. I get to spend time with both of my sons. I bring my oldest to workouts every day. The kids love him. He loves all the kids. He gets in there and works out with them and does all that stuff. So, to me, that's the blessing, the hidden blessing in all of this.
You lesson learned. You need to learn, and you'll learn. Happy wife, happy life, gentlemen.
Hey, you're telling me, man, there is no way I'd be able to do this.
Says the guy twice divorced. But go ahead.
My wife's at home right now, taking care of the kids and letting me come up here and do this. There's no way in the world that I could do this without her.
That's just great. I'm glad that I apologize I didn't ask that first, but go ahead, Knock.
Well, Coach, you talked about the energy which you guys have for squats today.
Yep.
I mean, and I know you talked about how exciting it is, but at the same time, that culture that we all talk about and just the unity that brings to a team, how much have you seen that, obviously today, but just throughout where it's not just seniors and juniors, it's seniors reaching down to freshmen.
So that's one of our things. We're incredibly young. I think we averaged 9.3 grade level. Last year we were 9.1, so I think this year we'll probably be upper nines. Maybe in the low 10s grade level. The spring that we had, I think coming in being a young head coach, I thought, man, I'm going to get it. I'm going to do the X's and O's. I'm going to come in. I'm going to turn this thing around. We're going to win games. It's going to be quick, right? I know the answers. This spring as a staff, we set back and we're like, man, we got ahead of ourselves. We need to focus on the culture, the attitudes, and even though we lost the spring game, sitting around with the staff, coming out of that game, talking with the players, this is the most exciting we've felt being part of the program because just the attitudes are changed. This is the first time that I've ever been a part of this program that we didn't have a personal foul in a game.
8 years you've been a part of this program, right? 8 years because I know you were coaching with them for 6 years and now 2.
Yep.
What's the biggest change you've seen in your time there?
Well, like I said, I think it's the attitude and the culture. I think we really set back. I've got some phenomenal assistant coaches, man, and we set back and we were like, this is going to be the priority this spring. We are going to establish some discipline. We're going to establish some culture. We're going to establish respect. Little things. We had just one example, locker room.
Right.
We established a thing to where you had to have a lock on your locker at all times. Even when you stepped away to go to the bathroom, you had to lock your locker. And so that turned from, me going around or our assistant coaches going around, and if we see a locker unlocked, we'd lock it back up backwards.
Right.
Just a little thing,
absolutely.
and then we'd say something to them. Well, that caught on with the rest of the players, so they started policing themselves. And to me, if you can get a team that can police themselves, because I can yell at them and scream at them, or my assistant coach can yell at them and scream at them until we're blue in the face.
Right.
And sometimes that doesn't sit.
Nope.
But when you got kids holding other kids accountable for things, I think that's where the culture starts to shift.
How about, because that's always step one in the process. I was talking to a coach of another team who told me, Alan, before you can do anything, you've got to have discipline and culture in place. Then you can concentrate and focus on the winning and the X's and O's. Where are you in the process of the X's and O's, and who do you expect to perform for you on the field?
So right now, we're going to answer a lot of questions. Who we've got guys that are filling in roles that haven't had that opportunity.
Right.
I think the X's and O's are great. I think we're establishing what we want to do offensively and defensively, making some adjustments.
What would you like to do?
I mean, I want to run the ball.
Okay. All right.
To me, you want to run the ball.
Right.
But at the same time, I think we have to we have to be able to throw the ball to keep the box honest. You know, we like to run some RPO stuff, some screen game stuff, and we brought in a guy specifically for that to help vitalize the passing game this year. But to me, we got to be able to run the ball. If you can run the ball, you can do some stuff.
Yeah, I want to go back to what we were just talking about in the culture. How much does it help being a part of the program for as long as you have been and then stepping in as the head coach? How much does that help really establishing the culture that you wanted?
I think, me personally, you know, I think that makes a difference, man. At Space Coast, there was a lot of great coaches that came through, man. I'm not besmirching them at all, but there's been a lot of turnover.
Yep.
Man, and I get, you know, why they left. I get all that stuff, but to me, realistically, to tell you the truth, when the head coaching spot became available, I didn't want to do it. You know, I never envisioned myself as a head coach, but I had to step back and be like, these kids that are there deserve somebody that wants to be there, that wants to be, you know, wants to see it through. And to me, I hope and I feel like as a coach, the kids that are there in the program, that have been around in the program, understand that, you know, that I got their back. You know, I'm there for the long haul.
Why have you been? It's rare to find a coach at one program for 6 years. What has kept you there?
The community and the kids.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I never been a part of the Port St. John community until I stepped in there at Space Coast. And there's something about that area that resonates with me, man. The attitude there, even the culture in the school. I think we've got great administrators that are trying to do good things there. You know, I feel like it's a hard-working, blue-collar town.
It is, yeah.
You know, and as an offensive lineman, man, I'm all about the
You're all
blue-collar
about that.
lifestyle.
Well, Coach, and I was say I'm pretty familiar with Port St. John as well, because I know one of the things they love to discuss up there and debate is pizza. Apparently.
Well, I can give you my favorite Port St. John pizza place.
Okay.
Hands down, and I'm not sponsored by them, but if it's available, I'm happy to work out of NIL. Doghouse Pizza, man.
Okay.
That's my spot.
All right. Okay.
Fair enough. Coach, I do want to ask you, though, because obviously you guys are going down, or not going down, but you're in the SSAC at this point. When you're scheduling here, what are some of the things that you're seeing with the teams that you're getting ready to play this year? I mean, how far are you guys having to travel to a degree?
So actually, this year, since we made the move in between the 2-year cycle, so if you're not familiar, there's a 2-year game cycle usually that you sign a contract for home and away. So we had a difficult time kind of scheduling some games, but at the same time, we kept the travel down to about an hour, so it's really not that bad.
Gotcha.
You know, we didn't have to go very far out.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Hurlie, because you like to run the football. What do you think about all of this with these running backs now, where, you know, the business, and Hurlie's right, it's the business aspect of it. How do you feel? You know, we got these kids that are absolute stud youth running backs. You have to run the football in youth football. I feel like in a lot of levels, you have to run it in high school too. But how do you tell a kid that, you know what, it's okay to be a great running back in high school and in college, but you're going to have to somehow figure out how to play something else too? What do you see happening here?
So I think the biggest thing is, especially when you look at the NFL, I mean, you're dealing with 32 quarterbacks.
Right.
You know, that's 32 quarterbacks in the entire United States. I mean, those are some dudes.
Right.
You know, where every step you take away from the NFL, you're dealing with a little less talent, a little less talent, a little less talent. Yes, some teams have them. I mean, those NFL guys played on the high school level at one point.
Right.
But for the most part, I think you're apt to see more talented running backs. So I think the higher you get up, kind of the less, you know, their value, just because of the level of the quarterback, man, because the NFL is a quarterback league.
As a guy that played semi-pro football as much as you did, the expansion and the growth of the sport is tremendous right now.
Yeah.
You look across, and I know Roger hit me up the other day. He's got something in the works, and we also work with Fort Pierce and the Sharks, and it's everywhere. And that's great, because there's nothing more satisfying to me than football from January to May, because it ain't hot.
Nope. Hey, I'll watch football. I watch Canadian football. I watch arena football. I watch semi-pro football. Give me football, man. I don't care what it is. I'll watch it.
And I loved how well I felt like, for the most part, a lot of the things that I saw this year, a lot of these leagues are emphasizing discipline, and, we don't want to see the red and blue lights on Saturday nights. How do you feel about the growth of semi-pro football as a guy that really supported and played it?
So I think semi-pro football could be a phenomenal asset.
Okay.
The toughest part with semi-pro football, I feel, is everybody thinks they can do better.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you end up diluting things. You end up saying, if you try to instill that discipline, a guy goes, well, I can go, 10 miles down the road and play for another team. I think so. When I started playing, there was basically one league in the state of Florida. I think it was held to a little higher standard. I feel like they're trying to get there now.
Right.
Because it can be great.
It can be.
What it can offer is great. Unfortunately, I feel like the opposite is true sometimes too, where it becomes kind of that beer league football where you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
I mean, you get what you get.
As we wrap up here with Coach Cliff Nichols, Coach, what would you want the people in Port St. John and the surrounding area there to know about this program moving forward? You obviously have a clear vision for where you want to go and how you want to get there, but what would you tell them in that community?
I feel like we're just trying to work hard, and that's what I try to instill with the team, man. I don't try to set expectations. I'm an Alabama fan, man. It's the process,
right?
And that's what I try to get these kids to buy into. That whatever's happening outside of our program, we don't got to worry about that. All we got to worry about is what we're supposed to do. And we're going to come to work every day and try to get a little bit better and worry about what we're doing and worry about how we're doing it. And we're just going to grind.
Well, Coach, you guys got anything?
Well, Coach, just real quick, I mean, obviously, I know we talked about some of the offensive and defensive linemen for you. But defensively, how are you feeling about that group and who's really stood out for you?
Man, defensively, we've got some kids we've got a kid that actually, I liked him as an offensive lineman, but he really, as a defensive lineman, really popped. Seth Christman this year. He's going in the 10th grade, and he had a 405-pound squat today. And, we had my defensive line coach and me are kind of going back and forth with, I want him as an offensive lineman. I want him, so he's one of those guys. We've got a bunch of linebackers, man, that I think can play. We've got a guy that transferred in spring, Cole Gamble. What I loved about him is when he first day I met him, I go, hey, man, what position do you play? Looks like a running back kid. I go, what position do you play? Coach, I play wing back. I'm like, buddy, that's like somebody telling me you play fullback. I was like, I know you like to play football.
Wing back.
Yeah.
Kid said wing back. Yeah. Who are your coaches?
So we've got Liam Hinsman, who's one of my longtime guys who's been there with me forever. Kyle Davis, who's the defensive coordinator. Liam is our offensive line, defensive line coach. We have Ryan Starkey, who is going to be our running back coach and our linebacker coach. Excuse me. We just brought in Dwayne Corlett, who is going to take over as our offense coordinator, as our quarterback coach. We've got a ex-player that's coming on, Julian Chrisman.
Okay.
He's coming on. He's going to be a substitute at the school this year, and he came on. He's our wing back and tight end coach. Then we've got Paul Berger, who's kind of our assistant offense and defensive line coach.
Sounds like you got a good staff.
Yeah, we're getting a good staff together.
That's good. Coach, any other questions, guys? You guys good?
What's one thing you're looking forward to the most this upcoming season?
Just to see how these guys play together, man. Like I said, I'm going to go back to I feel like the camaraderie, and I feel like everybody on the team has fun playing together. And to me, that's what high school football is about. When I look back on high school football, I look back on playing with guys, that I love, man, that I'd go to battle for. And I feel like this team is full of a bunch of guys that are battling for each other. And so I'm excited to see that play out.
Heck yeah.
Were you on both of those Rockledge State?
I was on the first one. So I was a senior. I was a senior the first one.
We were just talking about 15 teams. What was that like, being on that first state championship? Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, that looking back, that was one of the top experiences of my life, man. That was a lot of fun. Just seeing all the hard work pay off, and especially after our junior year, which was arguably probably our more talented team, my junior year, the year before that, we lost in the game before to Belglades.
Yeah.
And then every paper and stuff was like, oh, it's Rockledge's rebuilding year. They're not going to be back. And then coming out and running it like that, man, it was a lot of fun.
And then to do it again the following year.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
That's a hell of a rebuild.
Yeah, it was. Can't go wrong, man. That was a great class.
Who? Pinkston, right?
Hunter Pinkston.
Hunter
Yep.
Pinkston.
Yep.
I listened to who were some of the guys on that team?
Preston Rollerson was one of my dudes, man. He was a fellow defensive lineman. We had Will Cox.
Okay.
John Robinson, and
I got you.
We were
loaded. Stacked. We are, Coach. This is obviously Anthony and I do a show on Sunday nights, and the fact that you made this move to the SSAC is a topic that we have discussed a lot, and just love it for the program and you, and obviously good luck, with everything moving forward. Looking at the schedule here. The MCC game I believe, is the one that we have. I knew we had one of your games this year. I think it's the MCC game this year. Coach, congratulations on
Always
doing that. I mean, that is
Yeah.
fantastic. And we'll be back. Who we got next? Tyler Murray coming up next from the Merritt Island Mustangs.
It all started with a sketch on a napkin. An idea created by two walk-on bench warmers. And after 10 years of hard work and perseverance to turn their dream into a reality, it's the #1 sports bar in America.
Welcome to Walk On.
Walk-ons, because everyone needs a little playing time.
All right, our high school football coverage continues with Coach's Show #2 from Walk-Ons. And please help me welcome the second-year head football coach. Certainly been around the game a heck of a lot longer than that, though. But please help me welcome from the Merritt Island Mustangs, head coach Tyler Murray. Coach, great to have you here. This is Anthony Nachreiner and Logan Pettit.
What's going on, guys?
And, all right, Coach, the summer, how's the family, the kids, all of it? How's the summer been, man?
They're getting big, man. They're growing fast.
Pull that down. Yep.
They're growing fast.
Yeah, I remember they were here last year, and I had a chance to meet them. Unbelievably well-behaved kids. It's incredible. I mean, it was amazing.
But then.
Yeah. Go ahead, Knock.
Well, Coach, let's just start with taking away from last year, coming into this summer and the workouts. How's the participation been for your team in the weight room?
It's been really good. We've had about 50 to 45, 50 guys there every single day. The kids have been working really hard. We put up some big numbers today when we were maxing, so I'm happy with the way it went.
Seems like everybody was maxing today.
Yeah, I think 4 or 5 out of Space Coast. Go ahead.
Well, Coach, I mean, you got great participation, obviously, but how excited are you guys just to kind of get ready? You got a couple of weeks now before the first practice. How much you guys chomping at the bit? 8 days. 8 days of chomping at the bit to get there.
I'm excited. Always nervous, but excited to see what you really get the pads on. Got to see what you really get after doing all the 7-on-7s and all that stuff during the summer. But I'm really excited about the group of seniors. We don't have a whole lot of them. I think we have 8 or 9 of them, but we have a lot of quality guys that have shown some really strong leadership throughout the summer. That's going to really dictate how this season goes.
Young football team. how has it been? Because, Merritt Island is one of those programs, Coach, and I'm not disparaging the rest of them by any stretch of the imagination, but Merritt Island is one of those programs where it is the staple on this county. When you look for that high school football history book, one of the staples in the middle of that book has an MI on it. It just does. How do you, in a 2009 graduate of Merritt Island, how do you teach a young football team about this culture and what it means to play football for the Merritt Island Mustangs?
Really, it all comes down to, obviously pride, tradition, and family. It's
right.
ingrained in our school and our program and in our island itself. But it's just about hard work.
Yeah.
We're not always going to have the biggest. We're not always going to have the fastest. But the one thing that we're always going to have, and people have been saying it for years, there's something in the water at Merritt Island.
Yep.
Is we're going to have tough kids who are willing to do whatever it takes to win.
And athletically speaking, you always have gifted student athletes there. What do you take from your first year as a head coach? Because for every first-year head coach, it's like drinking out of a fire hose, right? I mean, it's like you got to take it all in. Then you kind of settle in a little bit, because I don't think any first-year head coach expects everything you got to do off the football field. It's like you got to do 10 times more off of it than you actually do on it. Well, what have you taken off from your first year to, that you've learned that you're doing differently or bring it into this second season?
It's a tough one. Really, it's really about more of probably teaching the kids and trying to instill those core values that you want as a program versus anything the football related.
Gotcha.
As it's really just teaching the kids how to be better people, better humans, and setting themselves up for their future versus worrying so much about wins and losses. It's
right.
really more about developing the culture that you want in your program, because culture really drives winning in the end of it.
And at Merritt Island, that's so important. I mean, and again, not that it's not anywhere else. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, when you think of Merritt Island, you think of winning. Logan?
Yeah, my wife's from Merritt Island. She graduated from Merritt Island, so I know how of a close-knit community it is
she's
there.
A winner.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
you married up.
Yeah. So what is that community support on the island? What does that mean to you and your program?
Being from Merritt Island, it means the world. I mean, growing up, I was the same kid playing tackle football on the side of the stadium, watching Palm Bay and the Mustangs go at it back when I was a little kid, and just watching that continued tradition year after year. And, I mean, I'm coaching kids now that I've known their parents for 10 and 15 years from when my brother was in school and growing up. That way I can – now I have their kids coming in as freshmen. So I'm excited. It's just the tradition of the continued tradition of winning at Merritt Island is what sets the tone. And that's really where it's all about. It's like developing that winning mentality, not just on the football field, but in life as well.
Who are some of those kids this year, Coach, that you got to turn to that know about that tradition? Who are some of those guys you're going to have to lean on this year as you cultivate and develop a young team?
Well, our seniors obviously went to the state title game in 21.
Yeah.
So we got Gabe Arnold, big 6'7", 300-pound tackle, D-tackle. Our seniors are quite – we don't have a bunch of them, but we have a lot of quality. We just got Ryder Veras back from Cocoa.
Right.
He played on the state championship team.
Yes, great receiver.
Evan Daughtery, Ethan Hernandez, all these kids have grown through our all-program kids who were part of that championship run and kind of know what it takes to get there. And it's really their show. I mean, they get to take the lead and say, hey, this is our team. We know how it's supposed to be done, and that's where they want to be. And that's our goal. Our goal is to make it to a state title every year. That's the standard. And if, we fall short, we fall short, but that's the standard every year.
Well, Coach, like I said, playing at Melbourne, always know what the standard, what the culture is at Merritt Island, and what it means to be a Mustang. So give us an idea of some of the guys that maybe you've seen, those young guys that were in the weight room this year that just epitomize Mustang, and they just, they're a Merritt Island kid.
Well, we have a couple legends, I will say, coming back, their kids are coming through. We got Kevin Deaton's son, Landon.
Oh, really?
Is coming through. He'll be a freshman next year, plays tight end for us. So Kevin was an two-time All-American in baseball and football at Merritt Island. We got Kevin Propale's son. He's going to come in the Merritt Island.
Jeez. Yeah, you got some blood coming in.
There's some really good football players that are in that group coming in. They've been playing some 7-on-7 with us a couple of years, so all of them kind of know our system. Then we got DJ Blackman, he played at Rockledge Little League last year. He's coming in this year.
He's a phenomenal athlete.
He's a freak of an athlete.
Did you hear that? DJ Blackman's at Merritt Island.
Yeah. So we're looking. We're very youthful in that group.
Yeah.
Coming in. I'm very excited about those young guys going in. But we had a lot of really good sophomores that didn't play a lot of varsity football last year that are going to get an opportunity this year to play a lot.
Tell me about Sean Hartman. I know he came over. Love Sean. I've seen Sean play youth football since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. Love his dad. So I got to ask you about Sean.
He's been great.
Yeah.
I think he's integrated super well. The one thing about him is he shows up ready to work every single day. He hasn't been able to throw very much during the summer, coming off a little elbow injury.
Yeah.
He got cleared yesterday, and he let it rip, and all of our receivers came off the field saying, man, this kid could be really good. But best of all, the most important thing about Sean is he's a great person.
Yes, he is.
Great kid.
He's tough as nails, too, man. That kid is tough.
Yeah, you've been around the program for a while. You were part of that state championship run, and going into your first year as the head ball coach. Did that bring a sort of continuity to the players and knowing what was expected out of you? And do you think that helped establish your culture?
Yeah, I think we didn't really skip a beat. It was more of we kind of took it up a notch as far as what we wanted and what we wanted to see on the program, and that's kind of where that's kind of what we're doing this year. We're going to crank it up another notch. They say hey, if you're late, you got to run. If you continue to be late, hey, you're going to continue to run. If it continues to be a problem, and we'll deal with it off the field. But it's really just the next year. Last year was kind of hey, let's see what we're going to do, what the kids are going to do, where this year is more of hey, we're going to do it my way, and if we don't do it my way, then there's going to be some.
Do you feel like that this is really that I know last year was year one, but anytime you're coming off of a state championship run and the following year is always, I don't even know what to call it. It's a bag. You can shake it up and anything will pop out of it. You guys still made the playoffs last year, but does it really finally feel like, okay, I'm settled in. This is my program. This is how it's going to run. Obviously with the culture that the program has, but looking at these young men on this football team, it feels like that you'll have the same opportunity to grow this team as maybe, say, Hurlie did back in 2016.
Yeah, 100%. This team, the freshmen coming in and the sophomores we have now really remind me of the kids that we had in that 21 team.
Yeah.
A lot of kids who have played together for a long time and been together for a long time. And I talked about family. These kids love each other. Every single day, whether we're out there or not, they're working extra after practice. They're throwing, they're catching. They want to work. And that's really important as far as developing that winning culture is just having kids who are willing to do the extra and get it. And that's really where I really feel like the continuity between these kids.
Right.
And they're like a family. I mean, these kids love each other. That's one of the most important aspects of our locker room is that.
That's not surprising to me.
Coach, looking at you guys get ready for practice in 8 days, where's the position battle that you've got a couple of guys that you can't wait to see battle it out once you open up practice?
Everywhere, right?
Everywhere. We're young. No, we're and the kids will tell you, I'm a guy that I have no politics involved, no care who plays. Whoever it is, the best player for the job that day is going to play. I mean, it could change week to week. It could change day to day. And that's something that we do. We change. The depth chart changes daily with us. Whether it's good or bad or good, the depth chart every single day is changing. We post it daily. So kids will come in, check the locker room, see where they move, whether they're up or down.
I like that.
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch some friendly competition because at the end of the day, competition breeds success.
Your schedule: Deltona, Melbourne, Astronaut, Heritage, O'Galley, Bayside, Rockledge, Satellite. Who are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Missing one.
Eustis.
Yeah, Eustis. You are in a gauntlet of a district. I mean, Rockledge, Satellite, O'Galley. I don't care what one program is supposed to be 1 year compared to the next. You guys just all end up beating the hell out of each other. And look, Coach, I'm going to be honest with you. Last year, you look at what the Rockledge Raiders were supposed to do, And I know they won all of the district games, but those were tough games that they had to go through last year. You know, you go down and upend an undefeated O'Galley season on a Monday night down there. On any given Friday night in this district, anything can happen. Talk about playing in that district.
As a coach, you wouldn't want it any other way, especially because it's getting ready for playoff football.
Right.
Especially with us. We're going Bayside, Rockledge, Satellite, right back to back to back,
Yeah.
getting ready for playoff football. And in week 11, we have a talented Eustis team that's coming off of weeks went over there and beat them last year. So really, our district prepares us for the postseason.
Yeah.
And you'd like to say in our district, you're going to see one of the teams in the regional final every single year.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for in a district is to get ready for that. I wouldn't want it any other way.
I think that's well said and a comfortable prediction that you can make.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what was that, 4 district games in a row right there?
O'Galley, Bayside, Rockledge.
So shoot, you're might as well be playing the postseason in the regular season.
You look last year, Satellite was 2 games out of the playoffs with 3 games to play, and then ended up getting in because Bayside, who had that spot, lost in the last week. That's just how crazy that is. That's the way it goes.
Was that by design, those 4 games in a row? Or?
No, that's just how it happens. There's a bye week in between one of those.
Yeah, there it is.
There's a bye week in between Rockledge, I think.
Yeah, between that last game and O'Galley and Bayside, looks like there.
Yeah,
but unless Eustis is in there. But, Anthony?
Well, Coach, I love talking about your offensive and defensive lines and trenches. That's where everything really begins. How are you feeling about that group? Who are some guys that you feel like are going to stand out for you there?
That is where I think that we're going to have the most success this year. Up front, we're returning 4 out of 5 last year starters. All 5 of our guys up front offensively played for us last year at some point or another. Big Gabe Arnold, 6'7", 300-pound, who's been playing left tackle for us. He'll also be playing nose for us. We got 6'7", 285, Marshall Conley, who's playing right tackle.
You got 2 of those?
Yeah, we got
2. 2 6'7" guys, man. That's hard to find.
Yeah, 2 of them. He's going to have a breakout year. He was a sophomore last year, junior year this year. Left guard is going to be Alex Schaefer. He played guard for us 8 games last year as a freshman. 6'3", 255, 265.
Jeez Louise.
Our center and right guard is a little bit of a toss-up. We don't know if it's going to be Evan Daugherty. He's going to be there somewhere or rather another. And then Caden Chmielewski, Joe Thomas, and a couple others that we have that could, Ian Johnson, who we're going to fill in that last spot. But really, I mean, up front on offensive line, I think we're going to have a really good year. We're going to be bigger than we've ever been since I've been back in the last 8 years.
Yeah, because you haven't been very big up there. Yeah,
but traditionally, Merritt Island's always been big.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get much bigger than 6'7".
Well,
though.
you know, a couple of years ago,
We were
small but beat up everybody.
Heaviest guy was 210.
Yeah, it was crazy
State
to watch.
championship run.
It was great.
Yeah.
And then defensively, obviously, our anchor is going to be Gabe Arnold up on the defensive front. He's going to be playing both ways for us. We got a sophomore DN for us, Jarvis Howe. He's a really electric football player. He's going to have a really good year. And then really we have a couple other kids that are going to be rotating into that DN spot. Dom Smith's going to be playing DN, outside linebacker.
Okay.
Got a couple other filler guys here and there. But really our defensive front 7 between Caden Herrick, Ethan Hernandez, Finn Sinclair, Jace Jordan. I mean, we really returned 9 guys out of 11 last year on defense.
Nice.
But that played significant reps. Yeah, maybe not all of them started for us last year, but really the 2 guys that we lost big time last year was Boog Johnson and Yaya Darius.
Gotcha.
So we lost our 2 corners, but we got some young guys. Chris Kelly, he came in for Rockledge for us, and then Vontae Peterson, who's a program kid. He'll be playing some corner, and we got some other guys that'll be rotating in those spots. But really, I'm excited, man. We have a young, scrappy group of kids who like to work and want to play hard and play tough.
I know. I love your offense. I do. Do you just throw these kids right into it at a young age? You say, this is the system, this is the program. By the time, you get to this point in your career with us, but how do you manage? Because, your offense is tough.
Well, we've done a really good job over the last year getting really involved with the youth programs.
Right.
So the freshmen coming in have already had a chance to run our offense for a year at the youth program. And then obviously our 7-on-7 team, they run all our passing games for that. But we've done a really good job throughout the summer this year getting on the field and kind of catching up everybody that hasn't been in our system. and really getting them ready for the season. I feel like this year, the age-old saying is you don't want to catch Merritt Island towards the end of the year,
right?
Because we've gotten better every week.
That's right.
And I really think that we're really probably hitting week 1 really about week 3 now as far as developmental, and we haven't been banging on each other, but as far as mental development, I feel like we're ahead of the ball game.
That's good.
Yeah, Coach, what's the one thing you're most excited about for this upcoming season?
I'm excited to watch our kids play hard, play tough. I mean, that's as a coach, that's what you really want to see. You want to see kids that won't ever quit on you, and you want to see kids that are going to give you your all every single day for 48 minutes.
Final question? No. Coach, I tell you what, man, I always write year after year. I don't care what you say about Merritt Island. People can say whatever they want about they're going to be down, they're going to be up, they're going to be down. But you never know. I remember going into that state championship, everybody's like, oh, man, they're not big here. They're going to get pushed around here. And, well, what do you know? All the way to the state championship. I'm telling you, I say it every year, and I'm going to say it again. It's a mistake to think anything other than this program is going to go out there and play 48 minutes of football, smash-mouth football, and that they're going to compete. And I know, Coach, that you'll see to it. Congratulations on your success there, and good luck. And thank you very much for coming up there. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Coach Tyler Murray of the Merritt Island Mustangs. Coach, we'll be out next week for a camp preview. Yep.
Great to meet you, Coach.
All right, we'll be back with our next high school football head coach right here on Brevard Sports.
It all started with a sketch on a napkin. An idea created by 2 walk-on bench warmers. And after 10 years of hard work and perseverance to turn their dream into a reality, it's the #1 sports bar in America.
Welcome to Walk On.
Walk-ons, because everyone needs a little playing time.
All right, welcome back here to Walk-Ons for the second of 3 coaches shows here on BSN. And I know I've got Dan Burke's picture on there, but that's only because I didn't have the gentleman standing in for Coach Burke in a Palm Bay shirt. But let me tell you, we knew he would be here, and it's a pleasure to have the man in charge of that defense. And I can't wait to talk to you, Mitchell Brown, because I felt like, and I'll say this to anybody in the county, I've said it, I'll say it to Ryan Schneider tonight. I know Matt Diesel's here too. I felt like on paper last year, looking at what you had and looking at what your defense did, I felt like it was the best defense in the county. Yep. So congratulations on an outstanding. Let me just read everybody some statistics real quick, if I could here, because these statistics are mind-numbing, okay, when you stop and think about it. And I know I got them because you did them, right, Caleb? You did those statistics for Palm Bay, right? You did those stats? Yep, you did. Okay. All right, there they are. So last year, the defense, 53 sacks, 25 interceptions, 17 fumbles last year. Now, I know your offense struggled mightily. I mean, there's no other way to put that. Right. Mightily last year and turning the ball over. Talk about your defense, because every time I try to talk to Coach Burke, he's like, look, man, I ain't been here half the time. It's Mitch. He did this. Talk to him. Tell me about that defense.
We try to make it as simple as possible for our guys. Just kind of that way they're able to think less and play fast.
Gotcha.
Kind of saw a quote from Mike Leach the other day. He said, if you guys are thinking, you're going to turn your 4-5 guys into 4-7 guys.
Makes sense.
So we just try to keep it as simple as possible. You know, Palm Bay's always got athletes. Let them see ball, get ball.
I know you got a ton of questions because you are a defensive guy through and through and love that aspect of the game. So go ahead.
No, I like what you said. Keep it simple.
Right.
If they're thinking, they're not playing. You got to make the decisions for them and let them just go out and play ball.
Right.
You know, I've watched it several times, and I can't really pin down what exactly your base scheme is. Are you comfortable giving that away?
I mean, it's a 3-3 stack, so I mean, that's 3-3 stack, cover 3.
No, and what'd you say, 507 sacks last year? Something like that, some silly numbers like
53
that.
53 of them.
53, that's just stupid. And Man had, 52 of them?
Maybe.
That's a big loss, though. Anybody stepping up that you think is going to be able to fill that void?
We got a couple guys coming up in there. It'll be a competitive group this year. But definitely we'll have some guys competing for the edge jobs this year.
Right on.
I know you're dialed into the history of this program, and where you went to Palm Bay, right?
I graduated in 2016.
I was going to say, you were dialed into this program. You know this program's history, your family, all of it. So I guess what I want to ask is, what does it mean to be standing next to a guy like Dan Burke, coaching this football team, watching him, do what he does? And listen, Coach Burke is always the first one to tell you, it's my guys, it's my staff, it's this,
right.
It's what we do. But it's got to mean something, because when you think about the history of this program and how long, he's going into his 24th year, 243 overall wins, 214 at Palm Bay. Talk about that.
Let's see. I mean, it's kind of weird. You grew up as a kid because my dad coached in this county.
Right.
My dad coached for Dan Burke. I remember being on the sidelines for games. Then you go and play for him, and then you go and coach with him.
Right.
So, you get a different each time. He's kind of softened up in his old age a little bit.
Yes, he has. Thank God.
But you start coaching with him, you start to realize, I can see why he gets mad all the time now.
Yeah. It's I tell you, one of the first things he did when he came back, he said, and I just think this is great. He said, "Alan, I've softened with the media a little bit. So if you want to come down and do an interview, come on down." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
Was that your best Dan Burke impression?
No, I'm not. No, that's the only Burke impression I got. I ain't getting into Dan Burke impressions for my ass is somewhere sitting out on Babcock Street. But go ahead, Knock.
Well, Coach, I love talking about the summer workouts. That's where it begins a lot of times for what kind of season you're going to have. So what did you see from the kids in the participation in the weight room and what you guys were able to accomplish there?
We had great turnout this year, so we're fortunate enough at our stadium we have 2 weight rooms. So we've been able to fill out 2 weight rooms this summer.
That's impressive.
Yep. So we've been doing pretty good in that retrospect. Guys getting stronger, faster. Can't complain.
Coach, did you have a young guy or a guy that's older that really made jumps in the weight room this year?
I think we've had a lot of guys take jumps. A lot of people take that leadership role. It's hard to pinpoint just one, but it's, becoming more of a team this year is a really big thing for us.
Yeah, we're in the business of coaching kids, but we also have coworkers in this and in the coaching staff, and a big part of that coaching staff is Palm Bay alumni. You got yourself, you got your brother, you got DeGore, you got Bada. What's it mean to go back and play with a bunch of guys that have been a part of that program, specifically coached by Dan Burke?
It's awesome to be brutally honest with you. A bunch of guys that know what it means to play there. A bunch of guys have coached with Burke already before themselves. So, we all know the standard, and, the standard's to, win games and put out the best show we can on Friday nights.
And does that help you relay, does that standard gets echoed many times over, so the kids kind of pick it up now too?
That people are watching on their screen highlights from the 2000 state championship team as you asked that question about the standard. I will dive back to a little bit of last year, because what I didn't see is the standard last year.
Right.
And a big part of talk around the county was that this was an undisciplined football team last year.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that and how you changed that culture.
Well, I think you just, it starts in the off season in your weight room. We had a really good spring. Not a lot. I think we had 1 penalty maybe in the spring. So it starts there. It also starts at the top with us coaches, keeping these kids dialed in, not letting their emotions get too crazy. And also starts with us as coaches, because if we get crazy, they feed off that energy and they kind of go crazy themselves. So, we're able to just stay calm and collective on the sideline. They'll stay calm and collective.
That's well said, and it's true. It really is. And I know you and I did the spring game, and I think that's the thing that impressed us the most. And that penalty didn't come until the end of that. It was like an offsides or something like that.
It was a holding penalty.
Was that what it was?
Like a touchdown, yeah.
It was crazy, but I thought I got a kick out of Logan during that spring game, because it didn't take long before you said this is what they're going to run. This is how it's going to get run.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. Talk a little bit about that. And
yeah, well, I mean, you get it. I mean, you go against it every day in practice. And I guess we'll go back to the spring when you're practicing. I mean, you played for Burke, and you know he runs 4 plays, and that's it.
Yep.
But you're calling the defense against him in practice, and you know those 4 plays are coming, and it's like, all right, am I going to stop it or not?
It's tough.
It is tough, even though you know, here comes trap,
Yep.
here comes squirm.
It's been 20 years, people still struggle with it.
Still struggle with it. So, what's it mean, just like, watching your team being able to do that and knowing, like, when you're playing another team, like, thank God it's not me trying to defend that.
Right, yeah, so we had this funny conversation with our offensive lineman. He goes, Coach, can I play defensive line? I was like, go talk to Coach Burke about that one. He goes, Coach Burke, can I play defensive line this year? And he goes, no, we need you on offense. He goes, but what you need to realize is our offense is defense. And I'm like, I love that because time of possession really helps the defense coordinator.
Heck yeah, it keeps you off the field, keeps you fresh.
Say that again. Say that one more time.
He said our offense is our defense.
You got to be thrilled if you're a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you don't like throwing.
Go ahead.
Coach, you talk about – Alan rattled off all those stats about the turnovers. Obviously, having those are fantastic, and I know – and I'm kind of curious whether or not that production is back for you this year. But at the same time, how are you coaching just that mentality to go after the football? 17 fumble recoveries, punching the ball, all those types of things. Is that a coaching thing, or is that more of what your players are doing within the scheme? What is that's led to that many turnovers for you guys and that success?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like I said, if they're playing fast, they're able to get to the ball a lot quicker, hit a lot of meshes, see the ball, get the ball. We also have a really good turnover circuit that we do about twice a week. So we really emphasize stripping the football, punching it out, things like that.
Talk a little bit about, how you have seen just over the last – and listen, I don't think a lot of people understand a couple of years ago, and God bless Coach Bird, because Coach Bird came in at a time during the pandemic. I mean, you couldn't have been a new football coach at a worse time than during that damn pandemic.
Yep.
And he did everything he could, but, I mean, but finally, he steps aside and Jake Owens comes in, and I kind of think, Mitchell, that Jake, I guess, kind of modernized is what you like to say, modernized Palm Bay and the social media aspect of it, changing the uniforms. Last year we saw the 8-4.
Right.
Where do you think this program is in that process and getting back to those days that the Palm Bay alumni want?
I think it's right there. I mean, all the alumni on staff kind of helps with that. And I think just building off of it and just giving these kids consistency right now, and everything else will just take care of itself.
Now, we don't talk about transfers, and, I mean, obviously you're going to have to plug some players in some positions there. But you're the defensive guy, but I'm going to ask you offensively. I think you got some great athletes on offense. Talk a little bit about a couple of the guys that are going to lead this team offensively.
We got a couple guys. We got Larry Johnson playing running back, Zach Emery Foster.
I love Zach.
Yeah, Zach's a great kid.
He's Zach, and I thought you had a very good analogy of Zach Emery Foster during the spring game, in which you said it appears as though, and you weren't comparing the players, you were just comparing how Mike DeGore would be using a Zach Emery Foster similarly to a Bryce Norton, being able to get him out. Talk a little bit about what the expectation is. Is that offense just going to be that big part of that defense this year? Ball control, tempo, first downs, punch it in the end zone if you can, win the close ones. Talk a little bit about what the expectation is, because Mike DeGore, pretty good offensive mind.
Yep, he is. I think with Dan Burke at the head coach, if you really don't know what to expect out of this football team this year, I'm sure there's some VHS tapes laying around somewhere.
That's a great response. I don't know any other way to ask it, because you get Mike DeGore, and it's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. At Viera, when you saw Mike DeGore call an offense, it was multiple sets spread out all over the place.
Well, they were in the shotgun for one.
Right.
So.
Well, that is gone. Right. Go ahead, Knock.
Well, Coach, I love the offensive and defensive lines. How are you feeling about your defensive line right now?
We're really young. We got a lot of guys competing. I'm sure we'll have a couple of freshmen come in and compete as well for us. But it should be a fairly strong group for us.
Would you say this unit, that unit up front, is more speed or strength at the moment?
Strength.
Strength.
Yeah.
Well, and then, Coach, out of your defense, is there a competition or battle that you're looking forward to? You got a couple of guys that are battling out for either 1 or 2 spots against 3 or 4 other guys. Do you have a spot right now that you're seeing that?
Probably our defensive back group is probably going to be the biggest competition this year. It's just because we play so many, it's going to be able to just, rotate guys in. If you're not playing well one week, we got another guy that can go right in there. But it should be a fun group to watch this year.
You're a young guy, so let's talk about you a little bit. For those out there that don't know you, first of all, I think everybody needs to know you obviously want to be a head football coach one day, right? I mean, I don't think there's any question that you will be. Talk a little bit about yourself, and I know, listen, I know you Palm Bay guys, especially ones that have been brought up by Dan Burke, don't like to do that. But let the county know a little bit who you are.
My name's Mykel Brown. I was born and raised in Palm Bay, Florida.
There you go.
Went to Viera, 3 years of high school with Kevin Mays. My dad was coaching there with him at the time.
Right.
Transferred my senior year to Palm Bay High. Graduated there. And, I've been around high school football since before I could walk. My dad coached at Cocoa High School in the late 90s, and he went to Bayside with Mike Davis, Coach Edwards. And then he was at Palm Bay with Coach Burke. And then he followed Coach Mays up to Viera, where he finished off. So I've been around it.
Talk a little bit about that and what you've learned from your father over the years. What are some of the things that have been instituted in you from him? Because I think Brevard County is unique, Mitchell, in that there are quite a few of you and your dads around this county, and I think it's phenomenal that you guys come back, stay home. Talk a little bit about that.
It's it holds a special place in your heart.
Yeah.
You're on the sidelines with your dad on Friday nights, being
Sure.
the ball boy. But I always go to him, like, if I have questions, like, what should I do here when you see this, things like that. And he's always there for me.
He ever look at you and go, you know what to do?
Yeah.
You know what to do here.
We keep trying to pull him out of retirement. He goes,
he ain't having it, huh? Go ahead, not got anything?
Oh, well, Coach, just talking about that, you've had some time to spend around. So how much do you pull from all those guys, but at the same time, some of the ideas that you had and implement those things as well?
You talking about as just
In
coach
scheme,
in general?
Yeah, just all the coaches that you've had a chance to just talk with or talk ball with. How much do they influence what you've learned from them and what you want to imprint from yourself?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough, like I said, to learn from my dad, Dino Colonna, Dan Burke.
Jeez, best.
Yeah, the thing my dad says just be a sponge, take it up from all of them. I think the biggest thing is, coach your players hard, love them harder, that old saying. If you get on to them, pull them off to the side, let them know why. But other than that, just to keep it simple game on defense for that is from what I've learned.
Going back to you, would it be fair to say, listen, trying to do research on you is like nearly impossible, first of all. Second of all, what I did learn about you, though, you're a hockey fan, aren't you?
Big hockey fan.
I know you are. Big Tampa Bay Lightning fan right here. I did find that out. And obviously a big Florida State Seminole fan, right?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you real quick, of all the college football teams in Florida, and I know you like talking football, let's pull you off high school football for a minute. I think of the 4 teams, the Miami, the Florida, the UCF, and Florida State, the biggest expectations lie with the Seminoles this year. That first game against LSU, the big telltale. But is Florida State a college football playoff team this year?
Yes.
I don't like to buy into a lot of the hype. I've been let down before. But they're a solid team this year. I like Coach Norvell and what he's doing with the program. So
he's not bashful.
Yes, I'll be a fan.
There you go. Okay.
Say yes.
Mike Norvell, did you get a chance to, when he came to town, did you get an opportunity to get over to his camp or take any kids up there?
No, I met him one time. So actually, I was a student assistant with the football team during Willie Taggart.
I got you. Okay.
And so when Taggart got fired, he was in the building, and I got a chance to meet him and talk to him for a little bit. But he's a great guy.
What'd you take away from being a student assistant? I've heard a lot of guys that are student assistants. Love it, but it's grueling. Talk a little bit about that.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You're up at 6 a.m. You may not get out until 1 o'clock in the morning. Some nights are spent in the office sleeping in a sleeping bag.
Unbelievable. But you learn a lot.
Oh, you definitely learn a lot.
You
And,
know?
and I had a hard time with that when I came back to high school football. I was like,
This is nothing.
these kids can't. Like, I wanted to do some of the stuff from college. It's like, you can't really do
No.
some of that.
Yeah. Got anything?
3rd and 11, deep in the fourth quarter, tie ball game.
Yep.
You bring in pressure, you drop an 8.
Bringing pressure.
Hell yeah, baby.
There you go. What would be, and I listen, I know if Coach Burke was here, his answer would be, come on, Alan. We're going to take this a game at a time, literally, and he means it, and that's exactly how he has it. But I think it's a fair question. I'm not asking for wins or losses, but I think when you look back on this season, what will you say you will have wanted to accomplish? And I get the whole win, I get it, but I'm saying, what do you want for this program this year, you guys collectively?
Just a more disciplined football team. People are going to like to watch, and not a lot of penalties, and just put our best foot out there and compete every Friday night.
Well, I can tell you this. There's no doubt that with the guys that are there right now, that's going to happen. And based on what we saw last year and based on what we saw in the spring, and I know they've lost a couple of players. It happens everywhere. But the bottom line is, in high school football, more than any other sport, coaching can compensate for that. It really, really, truly can. And if anybody has the staff to do that, it is definitely Palm Bay. And we look forward to seeing this guy make some calls. Make sure you get a pic. I got no pictures of this guy in a Palm Bay shirt, so make sure you get one when he gets up. Mitchell, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Mitchell Brown, a defensive coordinator for the Palm Bay Pirates, and we'll be right back with our next high school football. All right, welcome back to Walk-Ons. We are here with our next high school football coach. He is the head football coach of the Viera Hawks, Mr. Shane Staples. Shane, thanks for coming out. I'm not used to seeing you without a hat, man. That's pretty cool. First of all, let me just say this. I got a lot of great feedback from your interview that we did last week, and I thought it was a phenomenal job, and I thought that I love the way, and we're only going to spend about 2 minutes on it tonight, last season moving forward to this season. So for those that didn't see your interview, go back and watch it because it's a great interview for one. Not on my end, on his end, but go back and watch it. But I really liked what you had to say about what you took from last year. So for those that didn't see it, what did you take from last year bringing into this year?
Just that the young guys, I think they took their lumps, but they learned from it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the most important part of it is playing with so many sophomores and juniors last year that they learned from the varsity level and took that into the offseason in the weight room. And, they really – it's funny, I gave them the day off the other day, and I got a text at 11 at night, Coach, can you come open the weight room tomorrow morning?
Wow.
We don't want to take a day off. And that just goes to show kind of where their mentality is.
Would you have gotten that call last year?
Not from as many guys.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's just not – my senior class last year was a great senior class.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for anything different. We just had a couple selfish not so seniors, just selfish guys last year. And
Gotcha.
we kind of, I think the other players kind of ran them out and whatnot. And it's been a fun spring and summer with this crew.
I asked Coach Murray this, so I'll ask you this question as he enters his second year. It's a lot in your first year because you realize just exactly how much you're coaching and, well, how much you're not coaching, because as much time is spent off the field with the booster club and the community and the youth leagues and all of that. And we're going to talk about that as well because it's very important. But as you go into your second year, does it feel like your program now, like this is solidly yours?
Yes, I think that's, in our interview, that's what I said. The first thing I needed to do was change the atmosphere of the locker room.
Right.
And we have a team. We have a team now. I just think we were all in different places last year as coaches, as players, and I think this year we're kind of all on the same page. The kids love each other. I don't even remember the last time there was an argument in the locker room.
Wow.
Right? Which is something that not many coaches can say.
Especially this time of the year.
Yeah, and so they honestly enjoy being with each other now. And I think that's half the battle. You get a team that plays together, and you're going to win some games.
Before I turn these guys loose on you, Shane, because I know they haven't had an opportunity to talk to you yet, I want to go back to your quarterback and talk about Chase and the offseason he's had, because I think I look forward to watching Chase play as much as I do anybody in this county this year. How much has Chase taken from last year and brought it into this year? Because he had one hell of a spring.
He did. So I think first off, he's grown about 4 inches, it looks like.
I know.
So it's funny. Everybody always asks me, how much weight has he put on? I go, well, he's put on a bunch of weight, but he doesn't look like it because he's gotten so much taller.
Taller, right.
No, but I think he's turning into a great leader in the weight room and whatnot. Those guys, and I had a conversation with them the other day. These guys naturally follow him, right? And that's what I told him. I said, no matter what you do, they're going to follow you. So I think he took out, how hard varsity was last year. We both took our lumps together. He could have been nervous and whatnot, especially with the injury he had ending the season last year.
Right.
I didn't know how he was going to come out in the spring. But he came out even in practice and was ready to rock and roll. And, it's funny, we have workouts during the week, and next thing I know, I go out there's 15 guys, and he's throwing balls and working on routes and just on their own.
That pass in that spring game that just popped up on the screen, that nice back shoulder fade in the end zone, right there is another one. He looks good to me.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a fun year with the receivers and him. They put in a lot of work, so
good.
They deserve what's going to come.
I know these guys are going to ask you about the guys up front, so fire away.
Well, just to piggyback off of what you're talking about with your quarterback, one thing that I'm very curious about is just that how approachable is he in terms of that leadership role where it's throughout the program? It's not just him talking to either the older guys or the guys his class, guys that are even younger than him, reaching everybody within the roster and within the team from freshman to senior.
He's super approachable. It's funny. He goes, it's not even just to the 9th grade. He reaches down to the youth level.
Nice.
So we had a youth camp.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are in the youth league, and they're showing up on Saturday, and they're all 5 working out together.
That's
and,
cool.
and working out, the things he's learned along the ways. And it's because he's been in our Viera program since he was a little one. He remembers the Hayden Kingstons and the guys he looked up to, the Bryce Nortons, and how important the quarterback position in this community really is. Everybody knows who the quarterback of Viera is for the past 10 years, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just one of those important roles, and everybody knows you. They're going to look up to you, and he really, takes that seriously.
Got one of them in an NFL camp right now.
That's right.
Yeah, no doubt. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Logan.
Yeah. We're talking a lot about
3-3 stack questions. I'm tired of hearing about 3-3 stack.
Sorry. Dang. No, you know what you got in Cromartie, and I think he's still throwing touchdown passes to Pillow down in South Palm Bay right now.
Yeah.
But Were there any maybe younger guys or another player that kind of surprised you maybe during spring or even throughout summer workouts that you're kind of excited to see how they can progress throughout the season?
It's hard to say when you see the guys every day that they surprise you. But I have a 10th grader, Eric Nelson, who had a big spring game as well. I think he had 160 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. He's going to have a gigantic year. Like I told Alan, we have 6 legit receivers, 6, 7, 8 receivers that can play. So I know eventually we're going to see coverages that go towards Pillow's way, and I'm excited about that because we have a receiving core that it's going to be a different guy every night. Surprises, I would say, our offensive line. We got a transfer in from California that's going to be at left tackle, Logan Viera. And I have a freshman who I'll put money on. He might be the best freshman lineman in the county this year. And Wallace is his last name. We took him to team camp, and he dominated at his position. So I'm looking forward to those guys. I always leave out the defensive guys because I'm an offensive coach. But, I was thinking about it the other day, and I think we only have 2 seniors on defense again. So we're a young defense.
Wow.
But a lot of experience over there, I would say. So I think, Isaac never surprised. Well, he always surprises me.
You're lucky he's on a cruise because he hit me up immediately about wanting to come on. He's ready. He's like, I'm ready to come on.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, can you get here tomorrow? He's like, no, I'm going on a cruise.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why don't you just text me when you got back?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Knock.
Well, Coach, you talked about that freshman alignment, and you talked about some of your young players. How do you try and instill the fact that young players are going to make mistakes? So how do you try and teach that to, one, just not let those mistakes happen, let those mistakes kind of bottle up in a kid and just play over and over as the game continues on?
So the good thing is for our young guys is we practice our JV and varsity together.
Okay.
So every day, when I send the lineman group to go work with the lineman guy, he getting the JV guys and the varsity guys, they all practice together. They all learn the same amount of things. So, of course they're going to make mistakes. But I think with the guys we have around them, no one's harping on them. Like, why'd you make this mistake? Why this happened? They're a pretty close-knit group that they know what each other can do, and they usually, bring each other up and say, get them on to the next play. It's, in football, there's not many plays that nobody makes a mistake, right? So we have a good group of guys this year.
We're here with Shane Staples, the head football coach. And are we okay on the stream? Are we good on the stream? Is it flowing? Okay. Because it's not on my laptop, and that's just got to be my laptop. Okay, I just want to double check here. All right, let's take a look at that schedule this year, Shane. South Fork, Satellite, Rockledge, Melbourne, Central Catholic, Baker County, Heritage, Bayside, Harmony, Melbourne, Titusville. Now, I know some of these games are district games. The Melbourne, Harmony, and Heritage games are all district games, but you didn't take it easy on the guys. You didn't look the schedule light. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 playoff teams on this schedule this year. I mean, I commend you coming off of a winless season and playing a schedule like this. And we go back to Baker County, which I'm thrilled about. I love that trip.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about this schedule and what the thinking was behind it.
We've always been that team to, we're going to play everybody. It's funny, people say, why are you playing them? Why not?
Why not?
Why not? If you want to make the playoffs, you're going to beat these teams anyways.
Yeah.
I think as much as people say, oh, we don't look at rankings, we don't look at this and that, you start looking at teams that no matter if you're 0-10, sometimes you see a team in front of you and you're like, you know what, I'm going to play them.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I think, to be one of the best teams, you got to beat these teams in our county. Our county's not a slouch, and
no.
It's not just the top 3 anymore.
No.
Right? There's 6 or 7 good football teams every year, and why not play them all? Why travel an hour when you could play them 20 minutes down the road.
If you throw out last year and you look at this program, you would ask me, you texted me, I think we were talking last year, you're like, what team has won the most playoff games in the last 5 years or whatever, 10 years? And, playoff record, 10-8, one of the only teams to have a winning playoff record in the program's history. 28 and 27, even still over the last 5 years, coming off a winless season. Viera, it has developed into one of those programs in this county. But talk about what it means, that youth program, the booster club, the school, the tie-in, all of it. Because as a head football coach, you got to manage all of that.
You do, and it's a lot at times. But we have a great community.
Yes.
Right. In some other communities around here, I went 0-10. I might have been up out of here. But I'm realistic with that with myself, right?
No, you are.
I had a conversation with someone the other day asking me, I'm like, listen, I'm 0-10. I can't go 0-10 again, right?
Right.
But our community is great in the fact that they're supportive. They want to, the parents. I just had a youth camp last week. We had like 60-something kids, which was kind of light, but we already had a youth camp that had 60-something the week before. They look forward to our kids going down watching the little kids game on Saturday. Yeah, and we look forward to having them at the varsity games wearing their jerseys on the sideline and stuff like that. But it is a big community. We kind of all support each other. We piggyback off what they're doing. They piggyback off of what we're doing. The school is supportive. The students, you can't ask for a better atmosphere just in general with sports than you can Viera. And you know that firsthand coming out to all the games we have.
Yeah, no, I do. And we'll get 8 of them again this year. We just can't make that trip down to South Fork week 1, but 8 games this year on Brevard Sports Network. And I was telling Logan, I said, I'm excited because I would like to be there, and of course I hope you go down and whip South Fork's butt. I do, but I want to be there for that first win. I do. I really do. I'm vested in this, and I'm excited for the upcoming season, and I'm vested in these student athletes because of the youth football program and watching Chase and Isaac and Mikey Schmidt, and the list goes on and on and on of these young kids that I've watched grow up from knee-high to a grasshopper and graduate into your program. So, yes, we're definitely invested.
It's neat, right?
It's
almost like our own little hard knocks through their youth, through their life, right? We literally get to, through your network, which does an awesome job for the Viera community, right? You literally get to watch these kids play from the time they're 9th graders to the time they're 9 years old all the way up until they're seniors in high school.
Blake and Finn, it's crazy.
So it's really awesome that everybody kind of gets to follow that in this community. Not only the coaches and the parents, but in general, if you watch sports, and me, every time you have a broadcast of something Viera, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm watching and commenting. It just, I think the community just, I come in here and I see people, I have no idea who they are.
Hey, Shane, how you doing?
right.
How's it going, man?
But it's awesome, right?
Speaking of, we kick off. Well, tomorrow we start bringing the volleyball players into the studio. We got a couple coming in from Merritt or from Viera tomorrow. So big year there as well. And I know I asked you about this, about coaching beach volleyball, and I know you did it for fun, but you got to coach with a great coach, and you got to coach some spectacular student athletes. What'd you take from there?
It's like I said in that interview is that it's teaching, right?
Yeah.
I took away that, it doesn't all have to be yelling and screaming to coach.
Right.
You can literally, some of these kids just want to be taught, and they respect if you teach them the right way, and just teach them in general, that they really are receptive to that, especially our kids at Viera. Especially Coach Wayne, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
It's funny, you posted that thing of them in their team camp going 14-0.
Yeah.
First thing I did as soon as I saw it is I texted her and I said, "Great team camp, huh?" Question mark.
Right.
I go, and she go, "Oh, yeah." And I said, "I'm excited for this year for them." She's one of my biggest supporters on campus, and she knows I'm one of their biggest supporters. I'm at all the home games.
They're going to
some of their away games.
They're going to have, and you've jumped on the broadcast before.
Oh yeah,
You've helped us with that.
Getting that that girl in, that's going to be awesome to watch.
Oh yeah, number one player in the country. Have you heard from Manny?
I've talked to Manny today.
Okay, I'm just asking.
he's doing all right.
He's keep it on it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll talk. Guys, what do you got?
Well, Coach, as we get ready for camp and get ready for practices here in a couple of days, I want to ask you where you talk about your wide receivers. You got 6 legit wide receivers. Is that where you've got your biggest camp battle that you're excited to watch, or is there another area where you want to, where you think you're excited to see what players are going to turn out during camp?
I think our receivers kind of all know kind of where they're at. They're all going to split playing time. They're all going to get enough playing time. They're all going to get enough catches. As you can see in the spring game, we threw the ball 30-something times. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's enough balls to go around. If you're a receiver anywhere, you probably want to come catch balls from Chase Camardi because you can throw them 40 times a game. That wasn't recruiting, by the way.
No. If you're, yeah, I get it.
But I'm looking forward to the defensive backs. I returned Cooper Keith, who I think he led the county in interceptions last year. If not, he was right up there. He had 4 of them, I think. But the other guys filling the spot. I'm looking forward to how that all plays out. I had a guy at baseball in the spring and summer, and Dominic Leone, who's a great athlete. I kind of gave him the summer off because he was playing travel baseball, and that's his main sport. But I'm looking forward to him coming back and competing for a spot, probably at safety. I have a couple other guys that never played football for Viera before that are going to come out that I know can play. So I'm kind of looking how all those pieces come together in the secondary, and I think that's kind of my biggest hole right now is just to see how that all pans out.
Hence the Manyfield conversation.
Coach, as the season's about to get going, what are you looking forward to the most?
Friday night. As frustrating as it is sometimes, and as much as I yell and scream and do, there's nothing better than just competing in something, right? Like, I like getting out there and just getting after it with the guys and watching them go after it. And, it's like I told Alan all the time, I'm the most competitive person you're going to meet. So that Friday night, man, I'm ready to go out there and play myself sometimes.
Just saw some breaking news. Justin Herbert, 5 years, $262 million.
So does that mean Burrow's getting paid?
Burrow's getting paid.
He's going to get $265 probably, right out, just enough.
And something else I wanted to hit you with before we let you go here real quick is, since you sat in that chair 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but they're not. Their record's not as good as the Braves' record, though.
They're only 2 games behind them.
I saw you posted that the other day. I haven't really watched the AL much, right? And when you posted, I was like, "Ooh, the Rays are." Not that the Rays are playing bad, but the Orioles,
the Rays are 4-15.
I'll be honest, Alan. I've probably gone to way more Orioles games than I've.
I know.
Braves games.
I see your family pictures with the Ravens jerseys on. I know.
No. Yeah, it's crazy, right? So, obviously I lived in D.C. for a while.
Right.
I'm back down here now. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Right.
Both of my sisters ended up with fiancés and husbands that are Ravens and Orioles. And it just drives me nuts. Drives me nuts.
How's old John handle it?
He's doing good.
All right, okay.
He's doing good. He's a Jaguars fan. He doesn't get much say.
Yeah, I got you. All right, Shane. Thank you so much, buddy. Good luck to it. Yeah, man. Shane Staples. Who we got left, Caleb? Heritage. Coach Benson will be up next year on Brevard Sports.
It all started with a sketch on a napkin. An idea created by 2 walk-on bench warmers. And after 10 years of hard work and perseverance to turn their dream into a reality, It's the #1 sports bar in America.
Welcome to Walk On.
Walk-ons, because everyone needs a little playing time.
One. Welcome back here to Walk. I don't know why I keep trying to put my glasses on. We have first-year head football coach of the Heritage Panthers with us now, Mykel Benson. And Coach Benson, welcome here to the set here at Walk-Ons tonight. We talked last year when you got the job.
Yep.
Let's just get right to business here. How does a new head football coach manage the amount of transfers that you have with the team that you're taking over? Talking to Joe and the guys in the studio last week, these guys are having a blast. They love what's going on. How have you and your staff managed to do this?
Honestly, I think it has to do a lot with the kids, man. The kids bring in a lot of those kids that came to us. They were already in our district.
Right.
I mean, they were there, and they seen the culture change. The social media definitely helped with posting what we do. You know, the early morning workouts. The music in the weight room, music at practice. Those little things like that. I think it really, really matters for programs, and kids want to be involved with programs like that.
Do you, as a first-year head coach, feel any additional pressure when you hear – now, look, you got a great staff, but do you hear – when you hear Heritage is going to be good this year, Heritage, I seen somebody put you all at the top of the rankings 2 weeks ago. I said, damn, we ain't even played a game yet. Here we go, right?
I'm telling you.
Here we go.
It is – I mean, of course you feel the pressure, but
right.
at the same time, it's the standard that you want to put out there anyways.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're in here for. We want to win games. When we tell our guys and talk to our guys, our standard is the district. That's once we win that, we put that trophy up, and we're moving on to the next. That's what our standard is. Like it is. That's what we come here for, and then we're going to the next round.
And that's what it's always. And I don't think people realize this, Coach, but that's what it's always been at Heritage.
Yeah.
I mean,
it has, and people don't understand that. Like, Heritage has been on top for a while.
Yeah.
And as far as district-wise, they've been doing it. It's been a couple years that they've been down. Like last year, we went 5-5, but with being 5-5 last year, we still had a good year. I mean, we had a rough start. We had 27 turnovers in the first 3-4 games. I mean, of course, you're going to lose games, but when you look at it at the back half, we were playing some good ball.
Last game this guy and myself ever broadcast together before he moved off to North Dakota was Montana. Montana was in Mainland, up in Mainland in the regional finals, and dropped 2-point conversion, cost the Panthers a trip to the Final Four. But that's where this program is and has been for many years. Go ahead, Nach.
Well, Coach, first I want to ask you, last year the offensive coordinator, now you have the head coaching job. How much has changed in just terms of your day-to-day?
It changed a lot. I mean, I got a lot more. But it has changed a lot, but thank God I have some surrounding guys on my staff that actually, stepped up. I got a guy that just wanted to do fundraising, and that's what he wanted to do. So I gave him a stipend just to do fundraising, and that's helped a lot. Where I don't have to do anything about that. Like,
you got to be the only guy in the county with one of him. Go ahead.
But we had the stipend to give him, and that's big. And then our staff the staff that we put together here was. It's amazing. A lot of them coming back from last year's staff and has been here, been a part of the culture, and just the young guys that we're bringing on as well. So it's been a lot, but I'm starting to learn how to deviate it out to a lot of people and trusting them to do it. I think that's the biggest part.
Is it more administrative that you have to do now more on the day-to-day in terms of that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. But thank God, my assistant head coach is the assistant AD, so he helps me out with a lot of that back-end stuff too. So I got help, like Coach Ainsley. He is the assistant AD, so he helps out with the back end and the paperwork, all that other stuff. So
I ain't going to lie. When I saw that Coach Ainsley was going to go from the head coach to the DC, I said, that's weird. Because you never see that, right? But there's a reason Coach Ainsley wanted to do it. But talk about that dynamic.
Man, it's it's funny. When we just came back from team camp, and, the coaches were just kind of sit there talking, and, everybody asks, like, how's that going? Like, it's going well. Like he's happy. I think he's like very, very, very over organized now, and he'll tell you he's like he got so much time on his hand, but he helps me out so much. And I'm glad I kept him because being a first-year head coach, I still need help.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything. He's helped me a lot, especially with scheduling and everything. Just certain things I didn't have questions. I had questions about, like, all right, well, how'd you do this last year?
Right.
And then I might do it the way he did it, or I'll tweak it a little bit. But it's been a great transition. I wouldn't let him go no other staff. I'll tell you that.
No,
the football brains that he has, it's one of a kind.
Logan?
Coach, you just got back from a team camp. Where was that, at Weber?
Weber International.
Yeah. So I want you to speak to that. How beneficial was that, not just from like an X's and O's standpoint of being able to thud up with other players and practice against other teams, but from like a team building standpoint?
Man, team building, I don't know if you guys seen the TikTok video.
Yeah,
out there,
I did.
I saw it.
I'm going to ask you about that.
But, that's the stuff that the kids like. You want to be interactive with these kids. They all stay on one floor. It's long days at the camp. So, they get a little bit of interaction at night and then lights out at 11. But, it's nothing like being around your brothers every single day and playing football. It's hot. That's where you figure out, like, who's really in. Who's going to be in, who's going to point fingers when they're tired or when it's hot, or who's going to fight when it's not going right. Of course, you go through your lumps, but that's what team camp is for.
Well, shoot, you remember doing camp at Bayside,
Yeah.
right? When camp started, we'd lock the kids at the school.
Yeah.
We were at the school all day.
Yep.
All day. Go sleep in the wrestling. Go sleep in the weight room. But I think actually being able to go away somewhere else is probably adding a whole different dynamic to it.
As long as I'm a head coach in Florida, I will be going to a camp. I'll be going to the Weber camp. It's hands down the best thing I ever been a part of and been go through with the kids, because basically our season started last week.
Yes.
We come out of camp knowing what we have and who can do what, moving kids around. We came out of there and we moved some kids around, and now we know where we're going in week one.
I know he's going to ask you about that, so I'm not. But all I'm going to say is you're lucky Facebook has copyright, because that music video would have been plastered all over.
Just sing it right now. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I can't do that. No.
Go ahead, Doc.
You won't get me.
Well, Coach, and forgive me if you've already answered this question, but will you be giving up your play calling this year?
I won't fully give it up, but I got Eddie Mays here, and I got Palmer that's going to help me. It's not even like even with our defense, it's a whole unit.
Okay.
Everybody has a part. Of course, I make the last decision, but at the end of the day, everybody has their part. I want them to be a part. I want them to come into the game as an offensive coordinator, because that's how it happened to me last year. Like, I was just the O-line coach last year, and then week one, Baker stepped down. He said he didn't want to do it, and, thank God I had my place call sheet, and I was ready. So that's just I tell my guys to prepare like that. I don't know if I want to step down, to be honest, because I like being involved. I really like being involved.
I'm shocked. I didn't realize Eddie Mays would have an opinion. No, I'm kidding. Eddie's sitting right here. Coach, I want to ask you, you'll see in the interview coming up on Thursday night, I put the screws to Joe Tenta on a question. And I said to Joe, Joe, I got to ask you this question. I said, what has Joe Tenta done, or what will be different about Joe Tenta this upcoming season? And he said, well, from a team side. I said, no. Joe Tenta. I want to know about Joe Tenta. What's different about you going into this season? Because the expectations for what's I'm sure you've placed on yourself is greater than it's ever been.
Right.
You've heard the whispers, Joe. What have you done? And he was great with the answer, and I thought he was phenomenal. Talk a little bit about your quarterback and what those expectations are.
Man, listen, I don't know. Joe's a two sports guy.
Yeah.
So this year was the first year he sat out playing baseball.
Yep.
And this is the first year he had a whole off season with football. So usually we'll get him right when spring starts, and then we'll go in the summer with him. But he gave up baseball for the year, and he'll play next year, he said. But having him there as a leader throughout that time in the offseason was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe's been in an offense where it's predominantly run, 90% run, and, slinging around. never really had wide receivers like that at Heritage, but now he has targets, and I think people are going to end up seeing what Joe Tinta is really about. Like, he can actually sling it around. He's a smart kid. Obviously, when you interview him, he's all about the team. It's not about Joe. It's a guy that you want on the team. He's a 4.4 GPA type of kid. He's going to go somewhere and play at the next level. He's just an all-around leader.
Yep.
You still got your dad on staff?
Of course.
Okay, good. What's that mean to you to have that kind of a rock that you can kind of lean back on and get advice from?
Man, it's funny because he asked me at camp when we got there. He was like, how's it feel? And I don't think it really hit me until we got to camp because, my nephew's on the team as well, and, he's there. And it's actually a kind of special year because he's a senior. Yeah. So it's amazing to have him on the staff, and I think this is really the first time we're really coaching together. Actually, we always coached against each other because I was at Bayside, he was at Heritage, and I was trying to get him to Bayside, and he was just loyal to Heritage. He would not leave. And, when I was living in New York, he kept on calling me. He was like, hey, man, he has a spot open. I want you to come down. I'm like, I don't know. I want a head coach job. And then he was like, every week now he would call me. He's like, come on down. He was like, he's I want you on staff. So, lo and behold, my wife found a good job, and we came down, and here I am.
Coach, talk about your skill position guys here. I mean, just the opportunity to have this many weapons that you have and to get creative with them and put them in space and put them in places that can make plays.
Man, which one do you want to talk about?
I know you guys put out some tape today.
I want to ask you, and then you can talk about Tayshawn But I want to ask you about the kid from Texas, the running back from Texas. How's he fitting in?
We haven't got him yet. I think he landed. What's today?
Tomorrow.
He lands tomorrow.
All right, we'll get on
that.
So
we'll see how he goes.
All
when
right,
he gets
we'll see.
We'll find a way in him. He'll find a way in.
All right, so go ahead. Let's talk about your running backs, because I made a joke on the Sunday night show a couple weeks ago. I said, look, man, you got to look out for it. They're 23 deep at running back. So talk a little bit about that.
Running back, we Judah Knight, we got him transferring in the spring. And he was actually kind of banged up in the spring, so we didn't really get the full Judah Knight. So we was kind of, as a staff, we was concerned because we didn't know what we were going to get.
Right.
So, going into the team camp, man, we seen a Judah Knight that is going to be pretty damn scary. I'm sorry.
No, you're
good. Pretty scary, man. And it's with him, and then we got Benson still.
Right.
Benson is going to be all over the place. He's not just going to be, he's going to start on defense. He's going to play some wide receivers, some slot, some H-back for us. We still got Cohen. We can use Cohen at H.
Wow.
We got Jason from Bayside. Man, we got so many weapons at the backfield where, we could have a run game. So we will have a run game, and we're going to establish our run game. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. We're going to establish our run game and then work off of that. But the run game, it's always going to be there.
I'll let you build on this, but we saw a special defense that I think can have a special year in that spring game against a Viera team that honestly, Coach, to me it felt like Viera took you off way too lightly. They didn't feel like you guys were going to, that defense was going to play with them, but you smacked them in the mouth early and just kept coming after them. Guys like Devin McDonald and the sophomore Deshaun, or junior now, but Deshaun Harper. Talk about that defense, because he can ask the specifics on the X's and O's, but, man, I loved watching it.
Man, listen, it's probably one of the fastest defense in the county.
Yes.
We're physical. We try to establish this team camp to be physical. We started off a little soft, but that was the main thing. We're trying to get our physicality up.
Mm-hmm.
But we got so many guys that can step up and make a play at any time, and that's the biggest thing. Even on offense and defense, we want them to understand that you make a play when your time is called. That's what it is. You're going to go make a play, and we need you at all times. So we don't. The biggest part about all these guys here is being selfish.
Yeah.
And then I don't want these guys to be selfish I want them to be happy for everybody that, whoever makes a play, go slap them on the head, celebrate with them, because at any given time we're going to need you.
Yeah.
But, those young guys like Harper, the older guys like Devin, Tayshawn, and then we got the young corner out there, J.R. Samuels. Telling you what, it's going to be hard for teams to throw us on.
It's going to be fun to watch. You got any?
No, I know if Ainsley's involved with that defense, it's going to be sound.
Yeah.
I actually have an offensive question for you.
Oh.
I remember when you went up to New York. Mm-hmm. I remember it was always a running joke at Bayside about running the wing tee, and then you got up there and started running the wing tee. So I just want to know how much belly and waggle and buck sweep we're going to be seeing out of the Heritage Panthers this year.
No, we won't see that. Emergencies only. But it's funny you said that, because when I went up to New York and I start coaching up there, it's a different type of football. You don't have that. You don't have the athletes up there like that. So I had to take my offense that I was running down here, which was spread, and then go up there. And I was like, well, I can't run this up here. And so I went to pistol wing tee up there, and we were averaging 300 or 400 yards a game with guys that were running 4.9, 5.2s. So it works, but I don't want to bring it down here.
Right. No, I'm with you.
It's just because I know what we have as a unit. You won't see it. If you see it, then it. There
are issues. Speaking of old time football, no, I'm kidding. I want to show you on the screen right now. People at home are watching some highlights of Coach Benson's playing days. Now, obviously here, running back at FAMU, outstanding, and then on to the Arena League.
I actually playing tight end right there.
Are you? Okay.
That's me right there.
Talk a little bit about your days in the Arena League and how much fun that was, because you won a couple of championships, and as people are going to see here in a minute, you're still in the top 3 in a lot of those rushing rankings. So I wanted to let the people that don't know you get a chance to ask you. Tell me about that.
Man, the Arena League was amazing to me. I mean, I played 9 years in the Arena League, and it took a while for me to even grasp that I was playing Arena, because my whole everybody's dream is to be in the NFL.
Sure.
And once I got in there, I was like, all right, well, this is my NFL. Once I realized I wasn't going to go to the NFL, so I started treating it like it was my NFL, and then I got to a program where they treated it like it was NFL. Like I had to weigh in at a certain weight. If I didn't, I was getting fined. And that's what kind of really changed my attitude towards, playing at that level, because they took it serious and they were winning championships back to back to back. And I think that's what instilled in me now as a coach. I know what it takes. I've been on the sorry teams. I've been on the great teams. I've coached the nothing teams. I've been on where I had one guy, back there at, we're trying to force feed. So I've been through it all. The Arena League is, has done a lot for my family. We've been all over the place.
Yeah.
Jobs, and, my sons and my daughters seen it all. It's.
You playing in front of more fans.
Right.
Do you ever meet Bon Jovi?
I did.
Did you?
Did. Yeah, I was in Philly for a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's the thing about it now that, every year – I go back and I go to the Super Bowl every year because of Ron Jaworski. So he holds his cigar and wine party every year with Mike Ditka.
That's great.
And we get to go back as players and be his security, but we're really not security. But but we get to be an interact like that marketing, and that's what I try to tell these kids now. Like, talk to people. Get to know people, because you never know what's going to happen at the end of the day.
And that was an unbelievable. I mean, I loved watching arena football. I did. I thought
glad it's back.
I am too. I mean, I did. And they talk about the violence and things. You got to run that short of a distance that hard. That's violent.
It is violent. I mean,
that's violent.
It is probably one of the most violent games I played.
Well,
Coach, I just want to ask. Willie Simmons was your head coach at FAMU, wasn't he?
No, when I got there, it was Coach Carter my first 2 years, and then Joe Taylor. He had my last 2 years. Joe Taylor was probably the best coach I ever played for in my life.
I was going to say, how much did that impact playing there, and what did you take away from there?
From playing at FAM? Mm-hmm. Everything. I mean, it was just a different type of atmosphere. We were still playing in front of 60,000 people.
That draws crowds.
the level of play, that's when the level of play started to change at the D1 AA level. Like, at that time, we got a quarterback that was from Kentucky. We started getting those transfers in from the portal. It was changing the level of play. So we started changing the level of our play, and it only made us better. So I love every bit of FAM. I wish I took my time at FAM. I wish I redshirted so I can get all 5 years out. I wish I played baseball from the get-go, because I ended up, after my last year, I walked on and played baseball. I just wish I took my time in college to experience everything of it, because I got right in and played as a freshman.
And that's a piece of advice you can offer these kids.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, because you were there. As we get set to wrap up here with Mykel Benson, what is the thing that you want everybody to know about this program as Eddie Mays drops in?
Oh, man, about this program, man, we're going to have some fun. I'll tell you that. We're going to win a lot of games. We're going to be disciplined. And we're just going to dominate. That's what it is. We're definitely going to dominate. And I told the boys, I said, for us to make a long playoff run and to be in the state championships, we can't go week to week playing to the fourth quarter. We got to dominate and run the score up so we can get everybody else in and start being healthy, because we're deep, and everybody can play. So if we play each week to the fourth quarter, it's going to be a long year.
And that's nice of you to let everybody else know what's coming.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. It's no secret.
I like it. Look, we're going to play everybody, so we're going to beat you. Listen, I like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as you know, Heritage is one of the teams. All 10 games you're going to see this year on Brevard Sports. Caleb's in the back doing that. And Billy Palmer and Coach Blue and Caleb on the. Now, I'm stealing 3 of them this year. I've already said I'm taking 3 games from them this year. I got to. I can't. I got to go watch this team play this year. I got to watch this guy coach. Let me ask you one thing. Here, come here. So all summer I've been rerunning these games, right? 2 of these games I played, you were broadcasting. Do you miss your broadcasting days?
I do, but when family call, you got to come running.
All right, I do have one serious question for you real quick. As a guy that's a teacher of running backs, right, what do you think about what's going on in the NFL?
People better teach their kids how to play a lot of positions. Straight up. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a position that's the value is going down, which it shouldn't, but it's letting you know where the game is going. So you got to adapt to where the game is going.
Put your hand in
at the end of the day, you'll see it this year. We're adapting already.
And that's coming from a guy that teaches the position. Play another position. Yep. Coach, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
It is Mykel Benson.
Thank you so much.
And Eddie Mays there. And, of course, we'll be back with our final coach of the night right here on Brevard Sports Network. And 1. All right. Eddie Mays, he just gets me rolling. All right, welcome back here to Brevard Sports Network. Last, but certainly not least, is the head football coach for the Cocoa Tigers, entering his 6th season, 50 wins already, 3 state championship appearances, and, of course, the reigning 2S state champion, head coach of the Cocoa Tigers, Ryan Schneider. Coach, first of all, I'm going to ask you one question and one question only, because we're 6 days away from the start of camp. The only question I have about last year is, how good does it feel to hear? I don't know about these guys, but I got one. How good does it feel to hear reigning 2S state champs?
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Yeah.
It's last year was a special year. We think we're going to be able to do it again, like where we are. It's funny because we win the state championship last year, and we're in the bus driving back. We probably got there about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And, the kids fell asleep. Coaches, we couldn't fall asleep.
Right.
We got our juices going, just couldn't sleep. So we literally sat there in the bus coming back talking about what do we have to do better to be here again next year.
Already.
What do we, it was that quick. It changed from, all right, yay, woohoo, we're state champion, to, all right, what do we have to do to do the same thing next year? And that's why I love Cocoa High School. That's why I love the staff that I'm blessed to coach with. And, we feel pretty good right now.
Well, Coach, just piggybacking off that real quick, do you subscribe to that Brady rule, the best ring is the next one?
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing about Cocoa. They expect to win. The community holds you to a standard. It's not what have you done. It's what are you doing right now and what have you done for me lately. And that's why we are who we are.
It's the truth, Logan.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's just business as usual then right now. There's no hangover or anything going through spring.
We're the staff as, we won the state championship. I think we led the state in passing. We sat down with FSU and UCF, and we pretty much changed how we do things offensively to become more efficient. There has been no hangover, no, coasting, no being lethargic. Like the kids, we know who we are. We're pushing ourselves every day to be the best we can be, just not from a player standpoint, but from a coach's standpoint. And, if you're not going to be a champion in everything you do, then why the hell are you doing it?
Sure.
So we have that mindset that we're just trying to be the best we can be every day and keep pushing the envelope, keep pushing the boundaries, keep pushing the ideas of what football is supposed to be and how you're supposed to do things. And we're excited about where we are. Now, it's teenagers. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But we're ready for Monday. We can't wait for Monday. Yesterday we had a little 7-on-7 thing, and
how'd that go?
There's a lot of glimpses of some really cool things about to happen.
Good. I'm excited to see those. We're here with Ryan Schneider and Coach. Whew, I mean, whether they want it, listen, you talk about moving into next year, and I'm curious. Your staff probably gets a phone call from you in April, and they probably go, oh, my God, Schneider's on the phone scheduling games, right? Yeah. As you look
There's
at
some jokes in there that I'm not going to say.
No.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this schedule, Coach, and 10 of the 11 teams, if you count the Kickoff Classic, were in the playoffs last year. 8 of the 11 teams won a playoff game. You're playing a state champ, a defending state champ, and a Final Four team. When you start to put these things together, Coach, it can be no other way for a program like Cocoa, can it?
So they make fun of me because it's like, you don't have to say yes to everyone. You call me, yeah, sure, let's play. But that's what, we're in the state of Florida, high school football. It's beautiful. It's awesome.
It's what it is.
Who wants to play, I think I used it before, like Alabama or Louisiana Monroe. No one wants to see that crap. We want to see Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Auburn. We want to see the big boys going at it.
Right,
We
right.
want to play in games that it's going to be over at halftime. We want to challenge ourselves. That's just the mindset we have. We don't care if it's the Miami Dolphins call us to play on I-95. We'll line up at 3 in the morning and go play some damn football. We love the game. We love representing our city, representing our school. And, we don't back down. We don't care.
No.
If you want to play, let's play.
The thing I love about your team, and then I'll turn it over to these guys. The thing I love about your team is your offensive line, Coach.
Yeah.
You return every starter, and every one of those guys up front is D1 quality. It's just fantastic group of kids. I don't know that I've ever seen a state champion return their starting offensive line. But I know how much you love these guys as a quarterback, a former quarterback yourself. I know what the offensive line means to you. Can you talk to me what it means to have these 5 guys back in this program?
Well, first of all, they're coached by one of the best O-line coaches in the state, Coach Parham.
Parham, yeah.
He does an unbelievable job. He's one of the most dedicated, driven men I've ever been around. He takes it deadly serious. He works on his craft all the time, and he rubs off on the kids.
Yeah.
It's a hard-nosed group that's, not your typical alignment. They're in shape, big quality human beings who are going out there and do some damage, and they should lead the way for us. We have a special group. We're excited about where they are. It's awesome having them all back, that we're able to do more, and Yeah, the O-line should, we're going to challenge them. People should watch our film and be fearful of our O-line.
Does that mean you're going to run the football more? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's the RPO game, baby. It's all about the numbers in the box.
I got you. Go ahead, Doc.
Coach, one of the things I always love talking about is the summer weightlifting and how much that matters. That's where it really starts for a football team in the fall. So what kind of gains have you seen from your squad? I know you got a big offensive line, so I'm sure there are a lot. But what kind of gains have you seen in the weight room?
I've been watching you guys do the interviews, and, guys are like, oh, we have 90%, show up and this and that. We don't even do attendance. Our guys know. The standard is the standard. If you're in town, you show your butt up, and we're going to work. We don't do attendance. We don't have no idea what percentage of guys we've had there. I know our guys are there every day, working their butts off, trying to be the best they can be. We've had some guys lose some weight. That they had to cut some weight. We had guys put on weight. We're in a good spot right now. It's been an extremely focused group, a hard-working group, a tough group, and we're in a really good spot. We just want to get to Monday. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, after last season, you lost a couple pieces to graduation and whatnot, quarterback namely, and some parts of the secondary. Is there anybody stepping up that you've noticed this summer? Or?
Yeah, it's the secondary. We were blessed to have an unbelievable group last year. 4
D1s.
Yeah, the group coming back is going to be just as good. You just don't know the names yet.
Gotcha.
It's Coco. Everyone has athletes, and we talk about as coaches. We're also they're talking, and everyone has skill guys. Everyone has the guys that can run around. It's Florida. Everyone has that. It's the difference between a good team and a great team. It's what happens up front. Our secondary is going to be fine. You just don't know the names yet. There are 3 to 4 Division I kids in that group that's going to start for us Monday. We're in a good spot. We're blessed to be, where we are in high school football rankings.
For the people at home, and I'm only going to throw this number out here because it's important with where I'm going with the question to tell you how this program comes back year after losing great talent. Tigers are going to lose 2,451 receiving yards and 28 touchdowns from last year, okay? However, and this is critical, you bring back 1,145 yards and another 11 touchdowns in a young, great group of wide receivers, C.J. Bragg, guys like that. You talk about a guy like C.J. Bragg, he reminds you a lot of a player like a Cooper Kupp. Javen Boggs, the Ohio State commit, Nicky Teeter. You are stacked at wide receiver. And, again, I don't know that I've ever seen a state champ bring back wide receivers like this. Talk about how important these guys are going to be with a sophomore quarterback.
They're grown-ups.
Yeah.
They understand how to do things. They understand. And one of the things that people don't talk about is they're extremely smart.
Yes.
We're doing more than we've ever done because this is the smartest team we've ever had.
Really?
We're throwing stuff. We're coming up with new ideas, new concepts. To tell you the truth, one of the problems I'm worried about is, as the play caller, getting to the plays. Getting to the concepts, getting to the things, that we can run the stuff we want to run. Like it's a smart group. I was talking to one of our defense coaches. He's like, one thing that impressed him is, our guys know in zones when to slow down, when to speed up, finding the holes, understanding what we're trying to do. And another big thing too, which is really not talked about, it's not a selfish group.
Right.
They're happier when one of their brothers does something than when they do something. They're the first ones down there to celebrate. They're the ones sprinting 60 yards downfield to try to get the block to get you in the end zone. It's a special group. But it's just a mindset we have at Coco. Coach Franco does a great job with the receiver group and with all the skill guys. And, we're in a good spot. And, just
blessed.
Yeah, we're blessed, man. We're blessed. Now, like we've talked about, though, it's still high school.
Right. Exactly.
Someone might do something stupid tonight. Oh, my God. But it's a good group.
I liked Coach Franco's. He was tweeting. I think it was like a week or two ago at the gas station. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
There's something about the Wawa.
Oh, I love that Wawa myself. I'm 53. Yeah. So let me just ask the obvious question. You've done this before with DJ Arroyo as a sophomore quarterback. Obviously, there's different ways. Look, we have heard so much from so many around the county about how gifted Hart is as a sophomore quarterback. How much do you like working with a young quarterback like this, and how excited are you for the future at that position at Coco?
I've been debating how I should answer this question.
Let's hear it.
I might as well just give the real answer.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, He has the opportunity to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country by his senior year.
Wow.
He is a special, special quarterback. He's a kid that takes it deadly serious. Everything he does is to become a better football player. He is one of the most focused human beings, comes from a great family, and he's going to be surrounded by guys who also want to be great. So it's just together, he has an opportunity to be really special because of his God-given talent, his work ethic, and the guys who are around him.
How's his mentality? Because I'm going to be honest, you guys.
He's fine.
You guys talked. No, I'm talking about you guys. You guys treat these student athletes as though they are college student athletes, and that's what I love about your program. How's that work with a young player? Not just him, but any young player.
There might be an adjustment.
Yeah.
But when the standard's a standard and everything, everyone's bought in. If you don't buy in, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
So we get kids that come in. It's a transfer world. It is what it
right.
is. Kids come in and they get in line quickly. They get how we do things and they see the success and. Our older guys who've been there are bought in, and
yep.
we'll be the first ones to be, no, man, like, we ain't doing that. You're going to do it this way.
Right.
And that's what's making us great. Like, we're in a good position right now where the program's kind of running itself. Our coaching staff does a great job. You come to a summer workout, we have 10 coaches there who are there at 9:30 in the morning, working, supervising, making sure we're doing things the right way. But, a lot of times we don't even have to say anything because the older kids are controlling the situation and running, the program and the team the way they want to.
There's going to be a ton of people. I mean, you got you, Coach Stockton, Brayboy, Spencer, Kamika, Washington. You got Parham, Diesel.
Diesels, yep.
You got Franco. I know I probably said him. Who am I missing? Who else we got?
Coach Bruce does a great job with the young guys. Coach Folston.
Bud, Coach Bud.
Coach Folston is,
Coach Folston.
He's a legend. And
the best, the soul.
So one of the best things, in if we're being honest, where I'm lucky, and you know how much I hate saying where I'm lucky.
No, I know.
Is I'm blessed to be around grown men who take their craft as being a coach deadly serious.
Yep.
There's no, I hate to say little league coaches because there's a lot of little league coaches.
No, I get
that do a great job, but our guys take it deadly serious. We're the staff in the off season. We're going to all the clinics, going to all the damn, spring college practices, trying to get better, trying to improve what we do. No one's comfortable. No one is feeling like we've made it. We're still trying to prove ourselves.
Right. So I just want to make sure I get all the coaches: Coach Parham, Coach Kamika, Spencer, Washington, Coach Bruce Judson, Coach McDonald, Bud Williams. Bud is fantastic.
Yep.
James Folston, the heart and soul. Dan Diesel, Charles Stockton, Cornelius Brayboy, Colton Adam, and Coach Franco, Coach Schneider, Coach Diesel.
Yep.
Coach, I know you talked about your offensive line. How do you feel about your defensive line for this season?
So one of the things people don't realize is we had one senior, Dorsey, last year.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else returns in the box. Like both linebackers and, let's just say the 7 kids that play D-line, 6 of them return.
Yep.
Wow. We're really good. We're really good.
That front 7 last year, you returned your leading tackler for tackles for
Samadre,
loss.
a linebacker.
Yeah. Samadre. I want to ask you about Samadre because I always feel like, tell me about Samadre. I know what type of player he is. I know what type of person he is.
He's an awesome human being.
Talk about him.
He's an awesome human being who works his butt off, and he's trying to become the best player he can every day.
You miss Seth being around?
He's a leader. He's a leader. And so, go ahead. So talk about Samadre. He's a leader, and he's someone that we trust and love.
I love the guy. I do. I think he's my leader in the clubhouse this year in terms of what we do media-wise for awards.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You miss Seth being around?
Yes.
Yeah.
But one of the great things about Coco, it's the next group's ready to step up.
Yep.
And we always talk to the seniors. You need to teach the young guys how to be the next group. There's a pride of being 15, 16 straight years in the Final Four. The seniors a lot of years they'll talk to the next group before spring. Like, don't be the group to screw it up. Don't be the group that lets the Coco tradition, the Coco way, lose.
Die.
Hold, the standard's the standard. Hold yourself accountable and keep it going. Don't be the group to screw it up.
Is this year's team better than last year's team?
Yeah.
Wow.
Last year's team was pretty dang good.
Yeah.
It was.
It was. This year's team's a good group.
I like it.
We feel good about where we are. Now, we talked about, back in January, one thing that's going to hold us back is our decisions. Are we going to make bad decisions throughout the year? Are we going to do something stupid in school? Are we going to do something stupid out of school? Are we going to let outside influences get in our ear and, destroy our team culture we built? We understand that every decision we make throughout the day will have an effect on our team. So we always talk about the decisions we make. And, another thing, too, is injuries. We're still a high school team that's, 2 suburban. We're going to dress probably about 45 kids. We get a couple kids banged up. We still have a lot of talent. We're still going to be successful. But, it could be a problem. But we feel really good. We have a great trainer and Miss Emily, and, we're ready to rock and roll.
Knock, you got anything? Good? You got anything else? Well, I got to ask you, where's your ring at?
I actually don't have it.
Where is it?
I got fat fingers and it was too tight.
No, I didn't mean you. But where do you have it at home? Where do you
it's
keep
not.
it?
It's getting fixed.
Is it? Okay, you want to wear that
they
thing?
Couldn't go over the fat nickel. You know what I'm saying?
Mine's
so
sitting.
We had to sit it back and widen that thing out a little bit.
I just wanted to thank you and the entire staff and administration again for that championship ring.
Yeah, that wasn't my call. Just so you know,
we're
spending money doing what? What the heck are we doing?
I can still thank you, but sitting right there prominently for the world to see. I never got one. That was my first one, and thank you very much.
Yeah.
But listen, man.
I just want to thank our administrators, our great principal, Ms. Stewart, our athletic director, Mark Carsons, the great faculty we have at Cocoa, the great city of Cocoa. We've worked all off season to make you guys proud.
And I got one more final question for you, and then you got a great administration there. As you start to see, and I've noticed your post, and I know what the answer is, but for the people out there that don't know, CJ with what he did with the money, with the rings, and Jawan, as you see these contracts, these guys signing these bigger contracts, it's nice to see these guys giving back to the community like that. Talk a little bit about what that's meant.
That's, you got to give Coach Wilk a lot of credit.
Yeah.
That he did the program the right way. He taught his guys the right way to do things.
Right.
And that's just the Cocoa family, the Cocoa culture that we talk about, where those guys want to come back. They know our kids.
Yep.
They know what our kids go through and some of the houses our kids come from.
Right.
It is what it is. And those guys are always coming back, talking to them, being there for them, helping out any way they can, and we really appreciate them. And, it's a blessing to be at such a school as Cocoa, because you can really see the lives you can change.
There's no doubt about it. And I tell you what, always a lot of fun. You'll see a lot of Cocoa games. I'm sure you're shocked this year on Brevard Sports Network based on some of the emails I get. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of them this year on BSN. I've already talked to Coach Karstens about it. You got a mic drop moment for me, or were we done?
No, God bless, and, I hope everyone stays healthy and has a great season.
Yep, me too. So, Coach, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
All right, we'll be right back to wrap it up here in 1 minute from Walk On. Two and one. All right, as we close the laptop on another edition of the Coach's Show, Knock, we'll start with you. What did you take from tonight?
I took a lot of things. I think a little bit too much to process. I got to take notes. I got to do better stuff. I got to go home and rewatch and take notes. But honestly, I think, listening to Coach Schneider, my first question was going to be talking about, how long is it going to – did you guys have a moment where, the Saints, they buried all their trophies and all that stuff after their Super Bowl run. Coach Schneider pretty much took care of that right out the gate. They were already thinking about what's going to happen, how can they get better, all of those types of things. That was the biggest takeaway I had tonight as well, just because, again, we all know what Cocoa is. And we know every single year. That's why we put them in the tier that we did.
Yep.
They are expected to win state titles, and they are expected to be there every December.
That hasn't changed since you left,
has it? That hasn't changed at all.
Logan, what'd you get out of tonight?
I think my biggest takeaway is more on like a macro level, but we have a really good group of gentlemen that coach these young men.
You're right.
They're not in it to, make them prop themselves up, make a name for themselves. They genuinely care about not only teaching these young men the game of football, but teaching them how to be young men, how to be better young men in their community. to their teammates, to their parents, what have you. And I think that's something that we can hang our hats on as this county is our children are in good hands when it comes to sport in this county.
They certainly are. And my takeaway tonight was a little of both of everything. I do think Cocoa is going to win a state championship again. I think Rockledge is going to win a state championship this year. I know I said it last year, and I know a lot of people think it's just media talk or whatever, but I believe it, and I wholeheartedly believe it. 3 coaches left to go. We've got Ben Waldrop and Coach Handwork and Coach Carroll left, and we're also going to get Dwayne Thomas on. Dwayne Thomas is the new president of the Mid-Coast Officials Association. So an abbreviated edition of the final show here next Tuesday, in which Knock won't be here, but we'll knock it out just like that. Talk a little 8-man football and Cocoa Beach next week. I want to thank Caleb. It's not easy to sit back there on that chair for 2 hours and 44 minutes. It's a long show and do what he does, but he does it better than anybody in this county, so we thank him for that. So for all of the coaches and for my partners in crime, Anthony Nachreiner and Logan Pettit, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski. This has been the 2023 High School Football Coaches Show, number 2, live from Walk-Ons. Have a great night, everybody.
It all started with a sketch on a napkin. An idea created by 2 walk-on bench warmers. And after 10 years of hard work and perseverance to turn their dream into a reality, it's the number 1 sports bar in America.
Welcome to Walk On.
Walk-Ons, because everyone needs a little playing time.